Now live from CBS 4 Weather Control, this is a Hurricane Wilma update.
Good afternoon, Rob Hanrahan along with Maggie Rodriguez as your weather station continues to track Hurricane Wilma, which right now is battering parts of the Yucatan Peninsula.
We are awaiting a news conference from the National Hurricane Center and Max Mayfield. But right now we can talk to our own Brian Norcross in Weather Control about what Wilma is doing. Brian.
Wilma is very close to Cozumel Island, just off the Yucatan mainland in Mexico, Maggie. Here, let me show you the radar out of Cancun. Now, this radar picture is about an hour old. We lost contact with the radar there for a while, and then it came back, and now we haven't gotten one in an hour. But you can see there are two eye walls here, one there and one here. And a report in from a blogger in Cozumel is saying that the damage is very bad. This is worse than Hurricane Emily was earlier in the year when it went ashore just south of Cozumel, and they were in the right side eye wall of that one. So, which is not unexpected, because we just got word from a hurricane hunter in there that the pressure is not going up. It's actually gone down 1 millibar. So this is still a very, very strong hurricane there. Let me show you what's going on at the National Hurricane Center. That's Max Mayfield getting ready to give us a briefing on the new advisory, and also Billy Wagner from the Florida Keys is there. So we'll join them here very, very shortly. I think they'll be ready to go in just a few seconds. But let me go back to the satellite picture and watch as the storm has moved toward Cozumel. And sit there. Did you notice? Just sitting there for the last couple hours over Cozumel Island there. No doubt they're getting pounded. All right, now let's go out to Max Mayfield at the National Hurricane Center.
This is still an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. On the satellite loop behind me, you can see the very well-defined eye. It's actually right over the island of Cozumel off the northeast coast of the Yucatan. In fact, the island itself is mostly within that eye. If you look at the radar coming out of Cancun, you can see a double eye wall structure. There's a little delay on this radar, about 45 minutes here, but the innermost eye wall you can see in here. The outer eye wall is very strong, and it is almost up to Cancun at the present time. The maximum sustained winds are estimated to be near 140 miles per hour, making it a very solid Category 4 hurricane. And I could contrast this a little bit with a couple of other hurricanes. Hurricane Emily from July of this year was a borderline Category 3-4 hurricane. It hit about the same area. Also back in 1988, Hurricane Gilbert was actually a Category 5 hurricane. Both very powerful hurricanes, but they were both moving fairly rapidly across the Yucatan. This hurricane is moving much, much slower, about 5 miles per hour, still toward the northwest, and what that means is it's going to be over the Yucatan for a much, much longer period, and will continue to pound that region for at least 24 hours. And also that outermost eye wall that we talked about there is a pretty broad eye wall. Looking at the recon data, we've got 100-knot winds over a very, very large area there. So it's going to take some time for this hurricane to weaken as it crosses the Yucatan Peninsula. But it will indeed weaken, and by this time tomorrow we'll have a much weaker hurricane than we have today. I would like to show some of the model data on for the future forecast of this. The official forecast is very consistent with what we've had earlier today. This is the Navy model. It's a 5-day forecast that basically shows the hurricane moving across South Florida, and in 5 days' time being up here off the coast of Nova Scotia. That's one model. Here's another one, the global forecast system of the National Weather Service. Usually one of our more reliable models that takes it across South Florida, and in 5 days' time has it east of Nova Scotia up in this area. And here's one more. I'll just show three here. This is our what we call the GFDL model. It was developed up at the NOAA lab at Princeton University. It's a model specifically designed for hurricanes, and you can see that also brings it over South Florida and moves it up toward the New England area. Now, the one thing I really want to focus on here is that at least they're all consistent in showing that motion eventually toward the northeast and over South Florida. they vary on the timing of that. And that's something that we're really going to have to watch. The official forecast takes a very reasonable blend of the different models that we're looking at. And by Monday afternoon, the center of the hurricane is forecast to be near the southwest coast of Florida. And will be picking up speed moving toward the northeast. What I really want to convey here is that we have some computer guidance that is much faster than that, some much slower than that. So since this is Friday afternoon and we're starting the weekend, people really need to pay close attention to the forecast coming out of the National Hurricane Center and listen to the advice of their local officials to make sure that no one gets caught by surprise here. On the current forecast track, we will likely have tropical storm force winds very late. This is in the lower Florida Keys. The first portion of the United States will be impacted, likely very late on Sunday night or possibly very early on Monday morning. So the first watches for the U.S., if it stays close to our forecast track, will likely go up sometime during the day tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We're continuing to fly the NOAA jet aircraft in the environment of Hurricane Wilma, sampling the steering currents and feeding all that data into these various computer models. So the message here is to continue to pay very close attention. It's still coming. It's just been slowed down. It looks like it will interact with the Yucatan Peninsula long enough to weaken and will likely we'll be dealing with a Category 2 or Category 1 hurricane as it approaches Florida. But I don't want to minimize that in any way. It's still going to be a hurricane, and a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane can have very significant impacts. And with that, I'm going to toss it over for a short update from Billy Wagner on the Florida Keys.
Thank you, Max. Good afternoon, everyone. The Florida Keys currently are under a local state of emergency. We've started responding to a major hurricane a couple of days ago, with the first objective being a mandatory evacuation of all our non-resident population, the RVs that we have in the county, travel trailers, and the closure of all our state parks and county parks. So far today, our mandatory evacuation has been on hold for our resident population, and we plan on phasing an evacuation order later tomorrow sometime for our resident population. When this takes place, we'll have very limited capabilities for our emergency services. There will be no hurricane shelters available in the Keys. Our primary shelter on the mainland will be here at FIU, which is now open, and we have approximately 100 evacuees there. We will have transportation for those needing transportation to this shelter. We've been having close coordination with Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Collier counties in regarding regional evacuation, which will be taking place in the next day or so. We will start a mandatory evacuation of all our mobile home residents throughout the Keys tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and we'll start our special needs population early in the morning. Those who have questions regarding our major tourist attractions, which we're supposed to start today and continue through next weekend, such as Fantasy Fest and those in Marathon and Alamorada, can find information regarding these activities on the web at FLAKEYS.com or FloridaKeys.com. One thing I want to make very clear to our residents down there and the people who have chosen not to evacuate yet, that when we make the recommendations tomorrow, we certainly hope we get an immediate response, because the timing of this is critical that we don't have any problems with the regional evacuation of our neighbors. And with that, I'll turn it over to Max.
And one thing we want to continue to emphasize is don't just focus on the center of this hurricane. It's a large circulation. The tropical storm force winds extend out about 200 miles. And please don't forget that portions of US 1, which is the only road through the Florida Keys, portions of that road can go underwater when the winds get up to tropical storm force, even up in the upper Keys, well away from the center of the hurricane. And once the road's cut off, that's it. No one else can get out after that. I know there'll be a lot of questions on exactly how much rain and exactly how strong the winds will be. It's really and how high the storm surge, all very good questions, but I've done this a long time and it's just too soon to be getting specific. It's still moving slowly northwestward towards the Yucatan. Once it makes that commitment to the northeast and starts picking up speed, we'll have a better handle on that. And once we get the watches and warnings posted for the United States, then we'll activate the formal media pool, and that'll make it a lot easier. We have a few minutes for questions and answers if you have some. Yes, ma'am.
Linda Gellinella, ABC Action News in Tampa. On the current track, what would be the effects in Tampa Bay?
Well, that's what we don't want to. The question is the effects of Tampa Bay. Right now, the forecast has the center of the hurricane moving in to the south, well south of Tampa Bay. That would be on the weak side. The strongest winds of this hurricane will definitely be on the south side of the track. So on this track, Tampa Bay would not be in the worst quadrant there, but we're still, over 3 days away from landfall, and I've seen too many changes. A lot of things can change between now and then. So the message up there, as elsewhere in the Florida Peninsula, just pay very close attention. The storm surge will definitely be the greatest near and to the south of where the center crosses the coast. And in this case, the winds will also be strongest near and to the south of where the center crosses the coast. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Max, you say 24 hours minimum over the Yucatan Peninsula. How long maximum could be?
Some impact I think they'll actually have here for a couple of days here. Even Sunday morning, it's still going to be here in the or Sunday afternoon, likely near the Yucatan Channel. So they're still going to be on the fringe of the circulation even Sunday. The Yucatan is really getting nailed on this as we speak. Yes, ma'am.
Even though we are assuming that staying over the Yucatan for 24 hours, maybe longer, maybe shorter, and it may be downgraded to a Category 1 or a 2 or maybe a 3 before it hits Florida, even though we don't know how much rain is going to come down, what kind of impact can a Category 1 or 2 rainfall still do, and what kind of destruction can it produce?
Yeah, well, the question involves the rainfall, how much rainfall can we expect, and we're going to have a major rainfall event here over the Yucatan and very likely over portions of western Cuba. We're forecasting 10 to 20 inches. Because of that slow motion, likely some isolated amounts up to near 40 inches. There'll be tremendous rains in those two areas. As it heads towards the United States, I just don't want to get too specific on the rainfall yet because it really depends on that forward motion. The point is there's no good correlation between the intensity of a storm and the amount of rainfall. As we've learned many times, you can have a lot of rainfall even from a tropical storm or tropical depression, more so than even with some very strong hurricanes. The rainfall in this event will likely be most related to how fast it's moving at the time. But we're certainly going to get some rainfall. The best news would be if it really starts accelerating and moves at a faster pace as it moves over us. Okay, one more, please. Yes, ma'am.
Jane Standard, Local 10 News. You said a couple of days ago that this was a perplexing storm. Do you still feel that way?
The question was, is this still a perplexing storm? And I guess to me they're all like that to some extent. And what I was referring to a couple of days ago was the fact that we had a lot of scatter in the computer models, and at that time we had one model that kept it, one of our better models, keeping it over the Florida Straits for 5 days, and then the other one had it up near Nova Scotia or Maine. So that's more uncertainty than I like to see. As you saw today, we have much better agreement, still some variation in the timing, but the overall tendency towards the Florida Keys and South Florida is still there, and so at least that's some consistency today. Okay, thank you very much.
That is the latest word from the National Hurricane Center. This is CBS 4 News First at 5. We have the 5 p.m. advisory just in, so we begin our live team coverage tonight in weather control.
CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist and Storm Specialist Brian Norcross, of course, standing by with the latest. Brian.
All right, Rob and Maggie, let's get right to it. Here are the new numbers. Lots to talk about here as things develop and come into better focus. The latitude 20.6, the longitude 86.9. The winds still reported at 140 miles per hour in spite of the fact that a significant part of the circulation is over land there on the Yucatan. And look at the pressure number, it's actually gone down because the storm is apparently in a strengthening cycle, even though the land, no doubt, is trying to weaken it to some degree. So just incredible here that it's maintaining that kind of wind speed, even though a good part of the circulation is over land. Moving northwest on average at 5, although you'll see that it really has slowed down in just the last couple of hours, but the Hurricane Center always uses an average motion, and essentially over the island of Cozumel now. You'll see in the satellite picture in just a second, it is clearly right there. Now here is the new future track, which unbelievably even slows down the progression a little more, but let me say that the confidence is increasing. Where we have been very uncertain the last few days, now I'll show you why in a moment, why I think that the confidence is increasing. Here it is tomorrow and into Sunday in the general vicinity of the Yucatan. So 2 more days in that general vicinity, and then late on Sunday picking up speed fairly quickly and zipping up through Monday toward our state, looking like it's arriving late in the day Monday and then moving offshore. Now, if you were watching Max Mayfield a moment ago, he pointed out that the computer models vary a little bit about where this late Monday point would be. Is it there just on the west coast of the state? Is it somewhere back here a little bit, delayed even more? Or is it all the way through by that time? So we need to be thinking late weekend into early next week in terms of an effect on our part of the state, including especially the very vulnerable Florida Keys. And then the storm moves on by quickly so that by late Tuesday, it's completely out of our picture, and actually a cold front has come through here and then speeds on off and looks much less likely now like it will have any effect on the East Coast because of this delay. The winds are going to be pushing it well out to sea, it looks like. Now, as far as the intensity, here's what the National Hurricane Center is thinking, that it spends enough time, if it spends enough time over the Yucatan, it'll weaken all the way down to a Category 1. Now, there's a lot of variability and possibilities there, because if it were to just make a little jog to the right and stay out over the water, that could make a lot of difference. If it went a little bit faster and ended up in here a little sooner tomorrow, then that would make a lot of difference. So big question marks on that. But in any case, a weakening process, and then in here a strengthening process for a little while, but then the upper level winds come into the picture, and that becomes unfavorable for strengthening and probably weakens it some, and it speeds on across the state, probably as about a Category 1. However, possibly a 2, possibly a tropical storm, always plus or minus 1 category that far in advance, but moving across late on Monday on the schedule right now. All right, watch the satellite picture now. Spectacular looking satellite picture, and look at that eye right there, and now watch it move up to Cozumel and then kind of sit there. Did you see that? I'll show you that more in just a second. But there it is, right over Cozumel. The worst of it is right here, pounding the coast just to the south of Cancun, although they're no doubt getting it very hard. The word out of Cozumel, limited word that we're getting, is that it's worse than Hurricane Emily that came in just south and pounded them back in July with the right side of the eye wall. So not a surprise with a 140-mile-an-hour hurricane. Now watch this. This is just the last 3 hours. Look at that, hardly any movement in the last 3 hours, just pounding that part of Mexico, and it is expected to continue moving slowly in this direction up here. All right, now here's the wider view on the satellite. You can just start to see up here the jet stream. See those clouds zipping along up there? What's happening right now, it's just too far north to grab the hurricane, but later on it is expected and well forecast. I think usually these things are very well forecast. That jet stream will dip down, grab the hurricane, and move it up, and that's why we're having more confidence. So right now, the Wilma is caught between two high pressure systems. One here that's just slowly nudging it to the north, another over here that's trying to hold it back. So both things are going at the same time, and there's that jet stream up there we're talking about, kind of well to the north of the storm. Now, what's going to happen as we go into tomorrow, still in the same area, and some weakening over the Yucatan, but still trapped between these two highs, so not much change there. Then on to Sunday we go, and it starts to move, just starts to move late in the day on Sunday as the jet stream starts to dip down, and then as we get into Monday, the jet stream really grabs it, and it starts moving quickly. Of course, what we don't know is exactly how strong it'll be and exactly what the path will be. One more thing I did want to show you, and that is the water temperature. There's a lot of warm water here between Florida and the Yucatan Peninsula, so it really depends on how strong it is when it gets there, when it comes our way, on exactly how strong a storm we get. By the way, the greens may look cool, but they're still over 80 degrees, so there's no place there in the Gulf that doesn't have good hurricane fuel, so to speak. All right, we'll be back with a lot more in a few minutes, and of course have the South Florida forecast for you here shortly.
All right, Brian, thanks. We know many of you have hurricane-related questions, and you can ask Brian directly. Ahead at 5:30, Brian tells us how to stay safe in a high-rise and how to keep your vehicle safe during the storm. Also at 5:30, Wilma is a monster storm. We'll compare the size of the system to the size of the state of Florida. If the storm would strike right now at this size, what would be the impact? We'll tell you.
Then coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, Brian will take a close look at the computer models. He will show us exactly where each one takes Wilma. Again, that's coming up all new tonight at 6 o'clock.
Well, tonight we're getting pictures of Hurricane Wilma's power as it pounds parts of Mexico.
This storm has the potential to do catastrophic damage there, and they know it. CBS 4's Elliot Rodriguez is here now with the newest pictures off the satellites. Elliot?
Well, Maggie and Rob, Wilma is pounding Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, including the tourist resorts of Cancun and Cozumel. And as Mexico deals with a powerful storm, Cuba is bracing for its potential date with Wilma.
It's not the beach shots Cancun tourist officials like to see as Hurricane Wilma pounds Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with a wall of water, bending trees over sideways and causing widespread flooding in Mexico's biggest tourist area.
Don't worry.
Visitors like these have been bused to evacuation centers away from the coast. Electricity in Cancun has been cut off, and many airlines had to cancel their flights because of the storm. The overcrowded shelters are not the luxury accommodations tourists were hoping for, but at least they are out of harm's way.
We've all been taken inland about 10 miles to a protected area, okay?
In Cuba, many more people have been evacuated from their homes. The government sounding the alarm, moving thousands of people, setting up cots and providing free meals. People are taking whatever belongings they have, hoping their homes will still be there once Wilma moves away.
Now, in all, Cuba has evacuated 370,000 people. The island is already feeling the impact of the storm, but it's nothing compared to what the Yucatan has been going through all day long. Elliot Rodriguez, CBS 4 News.
And because of the delays, Key West is in limbo right now. Residents are just waiting to see what Wilma will do next, but authorities are warning them not to wait too long if they should choose to leave. CBS 4's Carrie Codd is in Key West with the latest.
As Hurricane Wilma's outer bands began to bring rain and water to Key West, the message here is clear. Go home, Wilma. Fred is waiting for you. And at Roy's Trailer Park, just off the main island, people are waiting too and preparing.
I'm going to go stay at a hotel for this. I'm not going to stay in a trailer park, but I'm not too concerned about it.
There are no strangers to hurricanes here. This is damage left over from Hurricane Dennis. And people here say if the storm is a 1 or a 2, they'll stay. If it's more, they'll go.
I'm going to stay. Definitely stay. I was here for Katrina, here for Rita, here for Dennis, so why go now?
But officials warn time is getting tight. And if you haven't decided whether to stay or go by now, you need to decide soon.
Once we have tropical storm conditions in the Upper Keys, our primary road that's connecting Key Largo to the mainland is going to become closed and inundated from the storm surge.
The message tonight for everyone, basically, don't let your guard down. Just because Wilma is delayed doesn't mean that it won't arrive at your doorstep at some point.
CBS 4's Joy Purdy is in Doral with how officials are making sure that we stay prepared. Joy?
FEMA calls our governor and all of our emergency management officials models for the entire country to follow. But even though all of them say they are more than ready for Wilma, don't think for a second that they aren't just as antsy as the rest of us.
With their finger on the evacuation trigger, all officials can do is wait for Wilma before making any major moves. For now, their best advice, be alert, stay informed, and if you have questions, our local leaders have answers.
But we do have the 311 answer center operating 24 hours a day.
I get frustrated pretty quick and impatient.
The governor's as anxious as we all are, but as many of you eventually hit the road for safer ground, the governor asks you go easy on the gas. Sure, we have plenty of it, but
There's some spot outages, particularly in Southwest Florida, as people prepare for the storms there. We just urge that people use fuel responsibly.
And standing by to back everyone up, the feds already positioning people and supplies in strategic locations.
We have 9 national disaster medical teams in Florida, and we have put 9 more on alert just in case this is a major storm at landfall.
FEMA wants to make sure it doesn't encounter the same problems it experienced with Hurricane Katrina back in Louisiana. So this is what else they have in store. Truckloads of ice, water, meals stationed in Homestead, the same stationed in Jacksonville, urban search and rescue teams in Orlando, satellite communication systems, the Coast Guard, Defense Department, all of these entities are standing by ready and waiting to help, and they urge all of us to be just as ready with our own households when it comes to Hurricane Wilma. Live in Doral, Joy Purdy, CBS 4 News.
And Joy, it looks like they're taking that advice in Homestead tonight.
Yeah, Homestead knows better than to dilly-dally. CBS 4's Jason Wheeler is there live with preparations. Jason.
Yeah, Rob and Maggie, they are definitely not dilly-dallying out here in Homestead. Folks getting the sandbags while the getting is good right now, and this is something we've seen all across Miami-Dade County today. People getting ready. Part of that, though, includes people wanting to know what they're going to do with their kids come Monday. Will there be school or not? We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but first a look at how people are preparing. Not long ago, an unwanted guest named Katrina made it right inside their houses. Now, Wilma won't be nearly so welcome. At this Homestead sand pit, the thinking is better safe than soggy again.
I'd rather shovel this and not need it than wish I had and, you know, stand there, look at water in my house.
Across Miami-Dade, residents getting ready. Securing loose items, including roof repair supplies, still sitting around for the post-Katrina patch-up. Of course, there will still be plenty of potential projectiles out there that haven't been tied up, but many homeowners have that covered too. They are putting the shutters up, some of them for the 4th time this season.
I hate it, but hey, I'm used to it.
Not fun, but people are getting used to this routine. Again, this sand pit here in Homestead will be open for about another 50 minutes for Homestead residents. Meantime, back to that schools issue. If you're wondering whether Miami-Dade schools will be open on Monday, we are too right now. Superintendent Dr. Rudy Cruz says he will make that decision tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We will carry it here for you on CBS 4 News. Stay tuned for everything you need to know. Live in Homestead, Jason Wheeler, CBS 4 News.
Thanks, Jason. We move our live team coverage to Florida's west coast now, where Wilma may do some storm damage and leave one of our favorite foods in short supply.
CBS 4's Brian Andrews live now in Marco Island with that side of the story. Brian.
Rob and Maggie, do you like stone crab? Do you love going to Joe's on South Beach? Well, when you go there, you know stone crab's an expensive delicacy. I think it's like 15 bucks for a big one. Well, that price could double because of what Wilma could be doing here on the Florida coast, specifically in a little town called Everglades City, where we paid a visit to earlier this afternoon. Welcome to Everglades City, a little town near the bottom of the Florida Everglades, a little more than halfway between Miami and Naples.
We are the stone crab capital of the world.
Longtime Mayor Sammy Hamilton tells me the crabbing industry is this city's lifeblood. In fact, stone crab season just started a few days ago, and now local fishermen are worried Wilma will wipe out the traps they've set, costing them millions.
A lot of these guys have got, 7,000 to 8,000 traps. There's a lot of money tied up in those.
Everglades City is 34139, the local post office getting ready for Wilma's winds, along with the town's only supermarket.
You ever been through a hurricane before like this?
Nope.
Okay.
I've just heard stories about Donna and what happened with Donna, which was very bad.
Hurricane Donna struck 35 years ago and devastated this remote Everglades outpost with massive storm surge.
Right where you're standing right now in 1960, Hurricane Donna, I was in this building, and the water was waist deep right here inside the building. So we know what could happen. So I'm really asking everybody, like 3 or 4 days ago, to move out, get out. So it could be serious.
So here in Southwest Florida, the real concern is the water and the wind. You can see the storm boards are up at this local business. By the way, it's open right now. Step inside. It's a local Starbucks. The manager tells me that she'll be open tonight, and she'll also be open tomorrow, as they're not anticipating really the nasty stuff coming in here until maybe late Sunday, early Monday. And I did talk to a Collier County official. They're still keeping that mandatory evacuation order in effect. They want everyone out of harm's way by at least 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Reporting from Marco Island, I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.
If you have questions about Hurricane Wilma, call the Neighbors for Neighbors phone bank at 305-597-4404.
And for the latest on Wilma 24 hours a day, log on to our website, cbs4news.com, our sister station's website, upn33news.com, or you can check out our news partners at the Herald at storm.herald.com.
Your weather station is covering every angle of this storm on slow approach tonight. South Florida not putting out the welcome mat for Wilma, but preparing for whatever it may bring.
A live look now from Fort Lauderdale. We're getting a pretty good dousing here, and as people are boarding up, a lot more are just getting ready to get ready. I'm Ted Scout, and that story coming up later.
Well, the anxious wait for Wilma has some waiting longer to prepare, but should you? Tonight, a strong message from the top gun at the National Hurricane Center.
Plus, what to do this weekend. We'll tell you what's open for business and what events are still on.
And I'm Jim Berry, live at Dolphin Stadium. Dolphin Stadium? What in the world are we doing here on a Friday night? Well, the Dolphins are ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs in a pre-Wilma affair. Ricky Williams getting loose on the field. Will the Finns be ready? We'll talk about it in sports at 6. CBS 4 News at 5. Coming right back.
Anxiety is high, and so is the frustration level.
What's the latest on Wilma?
Let me tell you what's going on here.
CBS 4 News stands committed to keep you up to the second.
Complete team coverage from around the state.
With 2 storm specialists, Brian Norcross and David Bernard, plus crews in Tampa, the Keys, and everywhere in between.
People along the West Coast see Wilma as a major threat.
For everything you need to know about Hurricane Wilma, keep it on CBS 4 News, the most powerful name in local news.
Ride it, ride it. Ride it, ride it. Ride it, ride it. My Ford can take every turn. The road can handle the burn. Me and my Ford, we ride it right. You got to ride it like a Ford. You got to ride it like a Ford. Ride it like a Ford. Ride it like a Ford.
At Bear's 60th anniversary sale, all Serta and Serta Perfect Sleeper mattress box spring sets are 50% off. Hurry! Buy now and receive an anniversary bonus 10% savings. Bear's 60th anniversary sale. Don't miss it.
Feeling congested? Take your medicine and try new Sudocare shower soothers from the makers of Sudafed. Each tablet dissolves in your shower to help you feel comforted. Inhale the soothing eucalyptus. Take in the comforting menthol and send all those feelings of discomfort where they belong. New Sudocare shower soothers. Shower yourself in comfort. And when you're all plugged up at night, take comfort in Sudocare vapor plugs.
Some finer points of the all-new Hyundai Sonata. It has more interior space than Camry or Accord, plus standard electronic stability control and 6 standard airbags. With quality backed by America's best warranty. All for $4,500 less than Accord. The all-new fuel-efficient Hyundai Sonata. Nicely equipped at $16,995. It's a Hyundai like you've never seen before. Test drive the fuel-efficient all-new Hyundai Sonata, starting at just $16,995.
If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
Well, we've heard it from government officials, and tonight the man considered the go-to guy on hurricanes other than Brian Norcross.
Right.
And how we should prepare also warns us that we shouldn't delay.
Complacency is a very dangerous thing. CBS 4's Nefertiti Jacquez has more.
Forecasters warning South Floridians to make sure they complete their preparations by no later than Saturday. And that's because Max Mayfield and his crew say forecasting an act of Mother Nature contains large errors.
A couple of scenarios here that could play out. And it really has a big impact on what happens.
So officials are pushing for folks to not let their guard down.
And the message is that we really want everybody in the Florida Keys and the southern portion of the Florida Peninsula to pay very, very close attention to this.
This includes not letting your guard down about the strength of the storm. Mayfield says storms these days are more severe, whether they're a Category 1 or a Category 5. Remember Katrina, where residents woke up to find flooded streets, toppled trees, and no electricity? Or how about the 836 flyover under construction that came crashing to the ground? Then following Katrina was Rita. Check out CBS reporter Tina Verona in the midst of the storm.
Let's spin around this way over here, Tim. Take a walk with me over here as we trudge through this water. And
all of this proof, Mayfield says, that folks should prepare, take Wilma seriously, and listen to officials.
Continue to monitor the hurricane, listen to the media reports, listen to what those local officials are telling you to do in regard to evacuation and sheltering and things like that.
Nefertiti Jacquez, CBS 4 News.
Obviously, there are a lot of questions about hurricanes and Hurricane Wilma and what we should do to prepare. Coming up, Brian Norcross answers your questions live, including how to stay safe in a high-rise and where to park your vehicle during the storm.
Also ahead tonight, there are lots of cancellations and closures this weekend. What you need to know in case you're planning to head out is still ahead. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning sponsored by City Furniture, now offering same-day delivery 7 days a week.
Chrysler Town & Country with the exclusive Stow & Go seating and storage system. There when you need it, not there when you don't.
Qualified lessees who are residents of select counties can lease a Town & Country Touring for $339 a month after a $750 bonus cash.
What a weekend.
Good, my skin felt so smooth.
No stress.
No husband.
That's fun. See you. Thanks for driving. As usual.
Back to reality.
Performance, utility, and envy. SRX. Cadillac. Breakthrough. Visit your South Florida Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer. Residency restrictions apply.
You can't escape. They will find you. They're watching, waiting, and now they're here.
Trick or treat!
Visit Party City, where our experts will scare up just the right costume for every boy and ghoul. Choose the year's hottest characters and styles, and loads of makeup and accessories. Whether you're staying in this Halloween or heading out of town to do your trick-or-treating, hurry into Party City before our last costume leaves the building. Party City, your haunted headquarters.
Meet the compact SUV that fits your life. The Mercury Mariner. Mariner setting new trends with unexpected touches everywhere you look. And now, Mariner comes as a hybrid, too. Ever drive an SUV that gets 33 miles per gallon in the city? Wow. Mariner is the perfect fit. So why blend in when you can stand out? Come in now for this great lease rate. You've got to put Mercury on your list.
CBS 4 Weather is sponsored by the South Florida Water Management District, protectors of the Everglades.
Once again, here's Brian Norcross with the latest on Wilma.
Okay, this business we have out here right now is the beginning of it. It's kind of a nasty, wet thing, and we really don't think it's going to stop significantly, maybe off and on, but it's still coming, you know, and the question is the intensity. I mean, we're more certain today than we have been that it is coming.
I have a little bit of a doubt.
Okay.
When Max and you say it may be here Monday night, is that the outer fringes of it, or the eye?
Well, this is the outer fringes right now.
Well, meaning
but
the bulk.
late Monday night for the center of it
center.
is the current schedule, but plus or minus 6 hours, 12 hours, something like that. But there is more certainty today than there has been, I guess, forever, that it is really going to come in some shape or the other. Okay, here we go outside right now. We're in the 80-degree range. The main thing you feel is the steamy tropical air, 8.5 on the stickiness scale, extra steamy. Just under 1/4 inch of rain in our rain gauge here. Some spots more, some spots less around town. Good tropical downpours. Here you see on real-time Doppler 4, where much of the metropolitan area covered. Heavy ones near downtown, up there in North Dade, more up in Palm Beach County. And watch as we go into the wider view here. You see there's more coming into the Keys. Now there are plenty of gaps in here, so it's going to stop. But when we go to the radar in motion out of Key West, look at this. Back at 6 o'clock this morning. Now watch the waves coming up. Now this is the circulation. Remember, the hurricane is way down there, so the circulation is up and around like this. So we're going to get some spots going to get a band like that one, and then here's another broken one up here. So it's just no way to know exactly where it's going to be, but some areas are going to get very heavy rain for a while when the band comes over. Here's the hurricane, obviously, and this is the edge of the radar range there south of Cuba. Now obviously there's very heavy rain down here as well, but there you can see all these bands here, all of them have rain in them, and they're all going to move our way. And as the hurricane kind of lifts to the north and then this way, you can see that there's no getting out of that until the hurricane is on by. So there's Wilma now. There's the cold front that we've been waiting on, and we are going to get, I think, a treat when this is finally all over with, because the back end of the storm will pull that front through, it looks like, sometime on Tuesday. But for tomorrow, lots of clouds and heavy rain at times in spots. But if you get one of those bands, boy, it's going to rain for a good while, and it's going to be very, very heavy. Then on to Sunday, here comes the storm getting closer, winds increasing, especially in the Keys. Kind of a same kind of day here as the front approaches, and it's actually going to be a little bit cool in the northern part of Florida. Then on Monday, the front can't advance as long as the hurricane is throwing warm air that way. And what's going to happen is the winds, wherever the storm is, the winds on the south side will be stronger, but the rain will be stronger on the north side because there's going to be some interaction with this front here. So in terms of a very, very heavy rain, looks like it's more likely this side. Stronger winds down here, and of course it's the winds that push the water in the storm surge, and that's why we have so much concern in the Keys. Okay, here's our forecast then in detail for tonight. Rain at times, some briefly quite heavy, and of course more in the Keys just because it's closer to the storm. Wilma squalls off and on tomorrow with some heavy downpours, 85 or so for a high, southeast 10 to 20 offshore tomorrow. And then clouds and rain on Sunday, increasing wind again, especially in the Keys, a little more in the Keys because it's just closer again to the center of the storm. All right, back with more here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Brian. Now here's Elliot Rodriguez with a look at what's next at 5:30. Elliot.
Maggie, straight ahead, we're live in Marathon where residents are heading out in case Wilma heads this way. The concern over clearing visitors out of Everglades National Park ahead of the storm. Should you stay or should you evacuate from a high-rise during a hurricane? And how do you protect your car during a storm? We're asking Brian Norcross all those questions. Those stories and more next on CBS 4 News at 5:30.
As CBS 4 News tracks Wilma's every move, Neighbors for Neighbors is there to answer your storm concern questions. Just call 305-597-4404. Neighbors for Neighbors, underwritten by Bank United and the Herbert Hoover Foundation.
CBS Monday, you'll laugh until you scream. Beginning with a King of Queens shocker. Then it's a How I Met Your Mother Halloween bash.
There's 7 chicks here. There's 6 chicks here.
Next, Charlie's Halloween date gives him the curse.
Your manhood will shrivel.
Boy, I know how to pick them, don't I?
2.5 Men. And is this divorced mom scared of dating?
This is the woman who backed over her own carjacker.
Out of Practice. New Halloween comedy, CBS Monday. And later, a new Dave.
Chrysler Town & Country, with the exclusive stow-and-go seating and storage system. There when you need it, not there when you don't.
Qualified lessees who are residents of select counties can lease a Town & Country Touring for $339 a month after a $750 bonus cash.
Introducing the new KFC Chop, starring KFC's tender roasted chicken. Try it today, just $3.99. Because it's the chicken that makes the chop. And this chop is from KFC. Ride it, Ford can take every turn. The road can handle the burn. Me and my Ford, we ride it right. You got to ride it like a Ford. You got to ride it like a Ford. Ride it like a Ford. Ride it like a Ford.
It starts tomorrow at 12 noon. The amazing Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. Remember, because our prices are lower every day, Rooms to Go doesn't have many store-wide sales. But we must make room for new styles. The bottom line, if you need furniture, Rooms to Go is the place to go. And the time to go is 12 noon tomorrow. The start of the Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. A sale not to be missed. Our last big store-wide sale for a long time to come.
That's CBS 4 News at 5. We'll see you again at 6.
CBS 4 News at 5:30 with Joy Purdy and Elliot Rodriguez starts right now.
Now, live, this is CBS 4 News at 5:30.
First at 5:30, your weather station tracking Hurricane Wilma, the dangerous storm right now slamming into Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula.
In Marathon, Keys residents are taking precautions and leaving town, worried Wilma could head their way next. We could be waiting for Wilma for days.
Well, that hurricane apparently in no rush to leave the Yucatan Peninsula, and that could be good news for South Florida. Let's begin our extensive team coverage here at 5:30, beginning with Brian Norcross in Weather Control. Brian?
All right, Elliot and Joy, as you say, the Yucatan is absolutely getting pounded. We are very, very fearful for tremendous damage going on there, and we have limited communications with there, but what we've heard is that it is very, very bad. Now, take a look at the advisory, the 5 o'clock advisory. There's the latitude, there's the longitude, 140 mile-an-hour winds now, moving to the northwest at 5, so it is a very, very strong hurricane right at the coast. In fact, the fact that it's maintaining both the wind speed and the pressure, and it's right on the coast, just shows you how big the circulation is, and so far more or less impervious to the land, although we just don't think that'll last. Over Cozumel, essentially Cozumel Island, is the location. Now, here's the future track, and it looks a lot like the future track that we've been showing, except that the days are changing. Now thinking that for most of the day tomorrow and on Sunday, it will stay in the general vicinity of the Yucatan Peninsula, but slowly moving off. But the difference between it staying down here right over the Yucatan all day tomorrow, which is indicated by the National Hurricane Center, and going a little bit further north and getting up here and sitting up there is a tremendous amount of difference in what the intensity will be, because it would not be over land, obviously, if it went a little bit further north. But in any case, late on Sunday and into Monday, it begins to move toward Florida. Most likely, the southern part of the future track would stay in that part because of a cold front that's dipping down that will sort of cut off the possibility of it going to the northern part of the future track. At least that's the most likely scenario right now. So unfortunately, more likely to come in our neighborhood than to Tampa, for example. Then moving on by quickly, it's gone on Tuesday, and then moving on away for Wednesday. Now, in terms of how strong a storm it might be, the National Hurricane Center is thinking that it could very well weaken down as far as a Category 1 over the Yucatan. But you always have to put, I just always say, a big question mark on the intensity, because a slight amount of difference in the track and suddenly it's over water more and it's a stronger storm. But in any case, the idea is that we can significantly over the Yucatan, then emerges here and intensifies some on Sunday because it's over warm water, and it looks like what normally happens as a dip in the jet stream gets close, that actually can be somewhat favorable for strengthening. But then as it dips down even further, that becomes unfavorable for strengthening and puts shear, it's called, over top of the system, strong winds over the top of the system, and so that would want to weaken it, let's say, to a Category 1 storm, but always plus or minus a category. The possibility of a 2, maybe a tropical storm, but the idea is we do not think it would be worse than a 2 as it came ashore. Odds are, let's say it came right there and we drew a line like that. On this side of the storm, Miami-Dade, Broward, and the Keys, the winds would be stronger, and therefore the storm surge would be stronger in the Keys. On this side of the storm, the rain would be heavier because of the interaction with this cold front to the north. So that would be the way it would divide up, if that's exactly where it went. Of course, we don't know that for sure. Here's the wide view of the satellite. We can start to see that jet stream dip coming into play up in there. There it is right there. And it's just not far enough south yet to get involved with the hurricane, but it does seem to be putting some fairly dry air in this side, and that may also contribute to a bit of weakening of the storm. Now, here's the close-up shot, and watch this now. Watch it go right up to Cozumel, right up there, and then slow down, slow down, slow down, and sit. So it's unbelievable. Since about 2 o'clock this afternoon, it has essentially not moved at all. So there's the way it's tracked right to Cozumel Island, and obviously if it continued on that track, it would go right over the tip of the Yucatan there and end up there for some time in this northeastern tip of the Yucatan and pound those folks. So here's the way it is right now, in between these two high pressure systems, and just kind of caught there. It's being nudged by this high in the direction of the Yucatan, but this high is trying to hold it back a little bit, and that's why it's moving so slowly. It's just caught between the two. Now tomorrow, not much change in the pattern. This one is nudging it along a little bit. This one is trying to hold it back a little bit, but weakening expected, of course, over the Yucatan Peninsula, as we talked about. Then on to Sunday, and now it moves off the Yucatan. That jet stream dip begins to come into play, perhaps meaning a little bit of strengthening and starting to move it late in the day, and then on Monday it finally moves, but of course lots of question marks on how strong it is, the exact path, and so forth. We just don't know how all those factors yet are going to interact. All right, now David Bernard has been tracking the winds that are forecast with it to give you an idea how far out those strong winds will extend. Here's David.
And Brian, this will give you a good idea of when we expect the weather to deteriorate here in South Florida and how bad. Now here's the setup right now where the hurricane symbol is. That's basically where all the hurricane force winds are occurring. The orange areas are at least 60 miles per hour with gusts over hurricane force, and at least tropical storm force winds in the yellow area, taking up a large part of the Yucatan Peninsula and the Yucatan Channel. And tomorrow, notice, even though it weakens to a 1, we're still seeing the entire northeastern Yucatan Channel affected by these strong winds. As we go throughout the weekend, once we get toward Monday, this would be for Monday evening, notice that tropical storm force winds will be possible over all of central and southern Florida, including the Keys, all the way through the Florida Straits. This is a very wide area, nearly 350 miles, basically the length of Florida from Miami to Jacksonville. Notice that the 60-mile-per-hour winds to gust to hurricane force will be on the west coast of Florida and into the middle and lower Keys, with the hurricane force winds, again, just off the southwest coast, somewhere between Fort Myers and Naples. Again, this based on the official forecast track from the Hurricane Center. So what that means is that today's been kind of okay. Tomorrow we'll have some rain. It'll still be kind of okay, but some of these 40-mile-per-hour plus winds by early Monday will be on the coast, and by late in the day, the weather will be deteriorating very rapidly. I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll take a look at another developing tropical system in the eastern Caribbean.
All right, David. Folks in the Keys are still waiting for some definite word on Wilma, but those who live in the most vulnerable spots have at least one more night to party before the patrols come through. CBS 4's Art Barron is live in Marathon. Art.
Well, the big concern out here in Marathon is the storm surge and the heavy rains. Now, if those two things happen, people in the Keys could be stuck with no way to get out. They live in a mobile home park in a low-lying area of Marathon. To the sounds of music, they're living it up, boarding it up, and tying it down before they have to evacuate tomorrow morning.
I have a home in Miami now, in Kendall, so I always go there in hurricane time. But for the past 15 years, I used to stay.
Yeah.
But I go now.
While Monroe County residents are under a voluntary evacuation, those in mobile homes will be greeted by sheriff's deputies with bullhorns to pack it up.
I don't think it's going to be anything good around here.
so I'm not taking my chance.
Folks at the Emergency Operations Center say Wilma could leave Marathon under a lot of water and aren't taking any chances.
We're going to have water coming from both sides, and we're expecting storm surge. We're hearing probably 6 to 8 right now is what they're talking, if it comes where they say it's going to come.
EOC officials are waiting, watching, and wondering. Will Wilma tear up the Keys or simply brush on by?
The biggest concern we got now is determining when to call for an evacuation. We don't want to go too early. We don't want to go too late.
Now, if some are trapped in Marathon and things get really bad, they have what is called the refuge of last resort at some of the area's schools. Speaking of which, we understand that Monroe County will decide tomorrow, Saturday, if school will be closed out here on Monday. That's the very latest out here in Marathon. Art Barron, CBS 4 News.
Rangers in the Florida Everglades are getting ready for Hurricane Wilma, but it's not the animals and wildlife that have the most concerned. CBS 4's Susan Barnett continues our team coverage from Everglades National Park.
Kind of in the mode of wait and see over the weekend and see which direction it goes and what happens.
Even the wild, wonderful Everglades are sitting ducks as Hurricane Wilma closes in. But the biggest worry for park officials here as the storm approaches is the people who venture deep into this 1.5 million acre natural paradise in search of Mother Nature at her most serene.
A lot of people are out by boat, even today, fishing, some in the backcountry area, our wilderness zone. And so we will take steps to inform them. We'll do overflights to spot them and make sure they're out of there.
The goal of the aerial searches is to get the campers and the boaters out as soon as possible before conditions get fierce. Some of the buildings at the park are still recovering from Hurricane Katrina, and the vegetation may take a beating from Wilma this time around as well. As for the animals, though, like the treasured Florida gators, the birds, and the tiny population of 8 Florida panthers, they'll have to take care of themselves.
A lot of them will gather on the tree islands, and that's a sheltering place from the storm. And then after the storm, our biologists will go out and assess and take inventory. We typically see very limited effects on the animals.
Aside from getting the boaters out of the water and the campers out of the campgrounds, most of the tours will remain running here at Everglades National Park until at least Sunday. In the Everglades, Susan Barnett, CBS 4 News.
Stay with CBS 4 for continuing coverage on Hurricane Wilma. Brian Norcross will be live with the 8 p.m. advisory. Then look for a halftime update during the Dolphins game.
At 10 o'clock tonight, you can catch our sister station, UPN 33 News, for the very latest. And after the game, look for a special edition of CBS 4 News at 11.
Then tomorrow morning, an extended version of CBS 4 News This Morning from 5 a.m. until noon.
The tropics could be heating up tonight, and it has nothing to do with Hurricane Wilma. Storm specialist David Bernard will be back with details about a tropical wave that has the potential of becoming better organized. Oh no.
Yikes. Plus, Wilma has put on hold many of South Florida's weekend events. We'll tell you what is on and what's off.
And I'm Rob Hanrahan, live in the CBS 4 newsroom. Here's what's all new for you tonight at 6 o'clock. We are focused on Wilma also. Fierce wind and rain pounding Cozumel and Cancun as Mexico takes a lashing from the hurricane. We're going to have the newest pictures off the satellites for you at 6 o'clock. And South Florida's great pumpkin problem. See how Wilma is putting a hex on Halloween. All-out team coverage on Wilma when you join me for CBS 4 News at 6, CBS 4 News at 5:30. I'll be right back.
We had to move quickly.
We thought by owner might take longer than we had.
Within 3 days, we had a contract and 2 backup offers.
We got our original full asking price.
And we saved $40,000.
Thanks, by owner.
Thanks, by owner.
Thanks for a wonderful evening.
It's my pleasure. Hey, is this your car?
Not on a first date. But, you want some coffee?
Okay.
The 265 horsepower Nissan Maxima. Lease one today.
CVS Pharmacy now has even more 24-hour stores. We're up at all hours, so you can sleep better. CVS Pharmacy. Expect something extra. At CVS Pharmacy, we make sure that your prescription is ready on time. Every time. CVS Pharmacy. Expect something extra.
Our best shows in HD TV tonight on CBS 4. Brought to you by BrandSmart USA.
Get your for that Palmetto phone. Get your for that Palmetto phone. Palmetto phone.
Over 35 years in business. Give us a try before you buy. Palmetto Ford, your official dealer for SUVs and trucks. Palmetto Ford, the winning combination. Call us at 305-592-FORD.
We sold our home in only 6 days using Buy Owner.
The rep worked around our budget and the price was fair.
And we had 2 offers on the same day.
The highest offer got here first.
We saved over $10,000.
Thanks, Buy Owner.
Thanks, Buy Owner.
If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
Okay, David Bernard, we're looking at what's happening in the Yucatan. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
far away, but we're experiencing some of Wilma
Clouds,
here.
rain.
I know when you get these storms that are 300, 400, 500 mile, diameter storms, they take up a lot of territory, and you can be quite a distance from these major hurricanes and still experience some of the effects. So clearly our weather today, not the same as it was yesterday, and we have a lot more clouds around and a lot more rain. So far, we've had highs of 84 weather control and at the airport, 83 at Fort Lauderdale today, Key West 82. Everybody's picked up some rain, generally a quarter to a third of an inch, but a little bit more at Key West. They've had 62 1/100ths of an inch of rain. Here's real-time Doppler 4, and up from West Palm Beach through Fort Lauderdale, Miami, showers along the coast continuing to move inland. Some of these downpours will be heavy as we go throughout the evening hours. In the Keys right now, things have lightened up in the middle and lower Keys. We don't see any real heavy downpours, but that could really change at just about any time. And again, here's another look from West Palm Beach down to Miami at some of those showers that are occurring. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at the regional radar out of Key West. And what I wanted to emphasize on here is exactly what Elliot was referring to. Look at all the rain bands coming up from south to north. Now, they are having a tendency to weaken as they get further away from the storm and up in the Florida Peninsula, but there's still plenty of rain here off the Cuban coastline. And again, this will be coming through from time to time as we go throughout the evening hours. And of course, forget the sunshine, because we've been under the cloud blanket since yesterday, and now today we can see the amount of rain increasing. And there's just a little further shot to the other side of Cuba where you see that rain extending even further down toward the south. Here's the past 12 hours with a look at the hurricane. Again, just stalled almost right there between Cozumel and Cancun, just sitting right on the coastline. But there's that band of moisture being pulled up towards South Florida, and with the positioning of the storm and the upper level winds, that should continue tonight and into tomorrow morning. What about the rest of the tropics? Here we go. Southeast of Puerto Rico, this is a strong tropical wave. There is some indication that a surface circulation could be developing down here, and the Hurricane Center does indicate this could be the next tropical depression during the next 24 hours. And again, if it got stronger than that, then it would get the first ever Greek alphabet name. It would be Tropical Storm Alpha. But again, we're concentrating on Wilma. There's some conditions in the atmosphere that aren't necessarily favorable for this to strengthen further, but it might nevertheless still become a tropical depression. Showers over Florida today, but mild behind this front across the southern plains. Pretty nice there. Taking a look at temperatures, 53 cool degrees in St. Louis right now, 80 ahead of the front in Birmingham. Of course, clouds and rain around Tampa and Orlando with temperatures around the upper 70s. Across the northeast today, cool, and there's been some rain showers around as well. New York is 55 right now, Philly 50, and D.C. currently at 53. So our forecast then for tonight, the showers are going to continue, and it could be briefly heavy at times. More in the Keys, though, lows 77, and for tomorrow, it's going to be more of the same. Could even be a few squalls from time to time as we go into Sunday, some heavy downpours, and it looks like about 85 degrees again with some occasional showers in the area. Allergy, moderate on the mold, pollen low, the worst offenders, grasses and palms. And for Sunday, more of the same, increasing wind, clouds and rain, some occasional Wilma squalls, especially in the Keys, and a temperature of 85. And of course, the day that we could have the worst impact, as we were saying, will likely be on Monday.
All right, David, thank you. Well, we've all seen these, the computer models, and they really haven't always been in sync regarding Wilma. So what are the latest runs showing? CBS 4's Brian Norcross will show you. That's ahead at 6 o'clock.
Well, meantime, Friday is here, so is the weekend. But because of Hurricane Wilma, a lot of weekend plans are on hold.
Well, many of you now planning to spend the time getting ready and staying indoors. CBS 4's Lisa Petrillo has more on Wilma's weekend effects.
Hurricane Wilma has really thrown a wrench in many of our weekend plans. Weddings have been called off, reunions canceled, concerts rescheduled. Many hotels and venues are shuffling dates left and right, trying to figure out what will happen and what won't as we wait for Wilma.
We might not know exactly when Wilma's arriving here in South Florida, but we do know you won't be doing too much of this. So let's look at what's on and what's off this weekend.
Hello, my friends, hello.
Hello, Neil Diamond. Hello. Glad to hear you're staying on schedule with a confirmed performance tonight at 8 o'clock at the Bank Atlantic Center in Sunrise.
Just to walk away,
Trisha Yearwood will not be belting out your country favorites at the Kravitz Center tonight. Her performance will be rescheduled, no date announced yet. They're cute, they're talented, and they're canceled for Sunday's concert at Club Cinema in Pompano Beach. Hanson has been rescheduled for Sunday, November 27th. Not enough sun for the Beach Boys. Sunday's concert scheduled at the Bank Atlantic Center has been canceled and will be rescheduled. No new date has been announced yet. Sesame Street characters love sunny days, but they'll be here for at least 2 cloudy ones. Tonight and Saturday, Sesame Street live performance is on at the University of Miami Convocation Center. Sunday's show has been postponed.
And here's a sure bet, hit the theaters. Right now, most are running. Opening this weekend is North Country, starring Charlize Theron. It's rated R. Want something more kid-friendly? Take them to see Dreamer. It's a feel-good film starring Kurt Russell and the always adorable Dakota Fanning. And then, of course, there's always a good book. Have a good one and be safe, everyone. I'm Lisa Petrillo, CBS 4 News.
All right, Lisa. Well, they're still recovering from Hurricane Charlie last year. Tonight, the folks in Boca Grande hope Wilma spares them. We'll be there live, coming up at 6.
Still ahead at 5:30. Do you need to evacuate if you live in a high-rise in South Florida? And what's best when it comes to parking your car outside the house? You ask Brian, and he's got the answers coming up.
You're watching CBS 4 News at 5:30 as we track Hurricane Wilma. We will be right back.
New at 6, Cozumel and Cancun taking a fierce pounding from Hurricane Wilma. We'll have the new video out of Mexico. Halloween is approaching and so is the storm. Decorations are coming down and the pumpkin patches are being cleared. Team coverage as we track Hurricane Wilma at 6.
See what the buzz is all about at Lauderdale BMW. Now, the nation's top-selling BMW Center. The exciting new 2006 325i has arrived from just $399 a month. Zero cost, full maintenance. Raising the bar with its exceptional design and performance. The 2006 325i. Now at Lauderdale BMW with 2 locations in Fort Lauderdale and Pembroke Pines. Lauderdale BMW. The real difference.
Uh-oh, here comes your migraine, getting in between you and your life, disrupting everything. A total migraine with pain, nausea, sensitivity to light and sound. But why let it take over your life when you could target your total migraine with Imitrex? An Imitrex tablet targets the nerves and blood vessels believed to trigger migraine for effective relief without drowsiness. Imitrex is not right for everyone or every migraine. If you have certain types of heart or blood vessel disease or uncontrolled blood pressure, you shouldn't take Imitrex. Very rarely, certain people, even some without heart disease, have had serious heart-related problems. So talk to your doctor, especially if you have risk factors for heart disease such as smoking, high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or if you're pregnant, nursing, or taking medication. Don't let a migraine disrupt your life. Ask your doctor if Imitrex is right for you. Target your total migraine and get back to your life with Imitrex.
Now you can save up to $80 on 8 refills. Click or call now.
It's Bear's 60th anniversary sale, and Bear's is celebrating with the latest styles and hottest furniture fashions. And, as always, something special just for you. Buy now and get 60% savings on Bear's world-class collection of artistic accents and accessories. No interest 1 year, 24-hour delivery. Come celebrate 60 years of first-class service and style with complimentary champagne. Bear's 60th anniversary sale, always beyond the ordinary.
Welcome back. Many of you have been emailing us with questions about the storm, and they're all for Brian Norcross.
Yeah, a lot of interesting questions too. Brian, we've got some here. Brian's from Weather Control. The first question I'd like to ask you is from Eleonora Uribe. She lives in Lauderdale by the Sea, and she says, I live in a 17th floor condo, and I have shutters on all my windows. What I'd like to know is, am I safer? Will I have to evacuate to a hotel west of here? Do you think there will be a mandatory evacuation for coastal areas in Broward County?
First of all, I don't expect an evacuation for coastal areas. It would have to be a very strong hurricane moving to our south for anything like that to happen. It's just not likely. But because you're in a high-rise condo, and this applies to anyone in a high-rise condo, even a brand new building with these super strong windows that are being put in there now, if we have a significant storm, anything above, say, a tropical storm, you should not stay in your apartment on a higher floor. You don't need to leave the building. Just go down during the worst of the storm down to, say, not above the 3rd or 4th floor and ride it out down there, because the forces on the building and on the glass, especially if you have a unit near the corners of the building, is so much greater, orders of magnitude greater, than if you're down low closer to the ground. So that's going to be our recommendation. If on Monday when this comes through is for folks in high rises to go on down to some hallway, some room without windows down on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th floor.
All right, Brian, we have another question here from Marietta Burdo. She's so cute. She says, I hope you don't think this is a stupid question, but her house is in Naranja in a flood zone. It sits east to west, and she wants to know if she should park her car a certain way to protect it from the storm, maybe back it into the house. Does that matter?
It does matter, because what we're going to be talking about is, as we see which direction the storm is moving, exactly north or south of us, it's going to have everything to do with it. If the storm moves by to our north, say it goes over Palm Beach County, that means our dominant wind is going to be from the west. The strongest winds will be from the west and then from the north, so you'll want to park your car on the east or the south. If it were to go south of us, for instance over the Keys, then we would want to arrange it the other way, because the dominant winds will be from the south and the east. So we'll have to evaluate that on Monday as the storm gets closer, and to see how strong the storm is. Very often the most important thing is just to not park it near a tree, because most cars get damaged, especially if it's a Category 1 hurricane, not because of blowing debris, but because of trees falling on them.
All right, Brian Norcross, thank you so much. We're out of time.
Thanks, Brian. Well, the news at 6 o'clock is next. Maggie Rodriguez is here with a preview for us. Maggie.
Elliot, coming up in just a few minutes, Hurricane Wilma's forecast track slows down a bit more tonight, and that means Cozumel and Cancun will take an extended pounding. We'll have the new video in from Mexico. Here in South Florida, officials are relaying one important message. We'll tell you what it is. And trick or treat, Wilma's Halloween hex on South Florida. Keep it here for Brian Norcross and our team of reporters fanned out across the region. South Florida's most complete team coverage as we track Hurricane Wilma next at 6.
$99! Get the new 06 Hyundai Sonata from just $99 down, or a new 06 Elantra from just $99 a month. Only at Bill Seidel Hyundai, Northwest 36th Street and 32nd Avenue, just 10 blocks east of the airport.
This just might be the perfect car, the Mercury Montego. With all-wheel drive that can handle just about anything Mother Nature has in mind. Award-winning safety ratings. Roomy? It feels like you're rented out a theater. Pack for a week? Or make that 2 weeks. Hit the road. Any road. The only car that can do all of this is this one, the Mercury Montego. Come in now for this great lease rate. You've got to put Mercury on your list.
It starts tomorrow at 12 noon, the amazing Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. Remember, because our prices are lower every day, Rooms to Go doesn't have many store-wide sales. But we must make room for new styles. The bottom line, if you need furniture, Rooms to Go is the place to go. And the time to go is 12 noon tomorrow, the start of the Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. A sale not to be missed. Our last big store-wide sale for a long time to come.
Hi. I'm Larry Coker for Evening's Delight. For the absolute best selection and prices on barbecue grills, fireplaces, and hot tubs, go where I shop, Evening's Delight.
Come in today and ask for the Coach Coker special.
Oh, Evening's Delight delivers too.
Ride it, ride it. Ride it, ride it. Ride it, ride it.
can take every turn. The road can't handle the burn. Me and my Ford, we ride it right.
You got to ride it like a Ford. You got to ride it like a Ford.
Ride it like a Ford. Ride it like a Ford.
News can break in an instant.
We have live pictures right now from Chopper 4.
That's why at CBS 4 News, every second counts. To get the facts, then get it on the air.
A developing story.
For all-out coverage,
Reporting live.
We're live.
keep it on CBS 4 News. As CBS 4 News tracks Wilma's every move, Neighbors for Neighbors is there to answer your storm concern questions. Just call 305-597-4404. Neighbors for Neighbors, underwritten by Bank United and the Herbert Hoover Foundation.
$99! Make the smart move and get the all-new 06 Suzuki Grand Vitara from just $99 down. Or a new 06 Forenza from just $99 a month. Bill Seidel Suzuki, Northwest 36th Street and 27th Avenue, just east of the Miami Airport.
That'll do it for CBS 4 News at 5:30. Thank you for watching.
CBS 4 News at 6 with Rob Hanrahan and Maggie Rodriguez starts right now.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News at 6.
First at 6, South Florida could be waiting even longer for Wilma, but it might be worth the wait.
The news is not good for Mexico. Right now, Cozumel and Cancun are taking a clobbering from the Category 4 storm.
And South Florida residents are frustrated and fatigued, but the message from officials tonight, stay informed and be prepared. The stubborn storm is taking its time in the Yucatan, and that could mean good news for South Florida.
Your weather station on top of every angle of this hurricane with reporters covering what you need to know. We begin tonight in weather control with meteorologist Brian Norcross. Brian.
All right, Maggie and Rob, we've been watching this hurricane here pounding Mexico by satellite. Taking a look at it now, a spectacular daytime satellite picture. And what was happening, and when this picture was taken, it was morning. The sun was coming from this direction, so it was lighting this side of the eye. That's why it's bright there, and that's why there's a shadow on this side of this spectacular stadium-shaped eye. Now watch it go through the day up to the northwest and then sit right over Cozumel Island there. It looks like it just doesn't want to come ashore on the mainland, but right now that the sun is in this direction, it's lighting this side of the eye here, and that is where the worst of the weather is, right in there. And of course it's rotating that way, so the winds are coming here into Cancun. There's every expectation that this is going to be horrendous there in the Cancun Cozumel resort area, not to mention all the small towns around there, because we can see how slowly it's moving, and it's forecast to slowly, just step by step, walk over the Yucatan Peninsula there, pounding that area for a couple of days. So that is the expectation. Now, we just got a report in from the hurricane hunters. The storm seems to be maintaining its strength unbelievably, even though a large part of the circulation is over land. Now here's the wide view. Now we see the hurricane moving here right toward the Yucatan, and exactly how long it's going to stay over the Yucatan remains to be seen. The other things we see on this satellite picture is, first of all, right up here in the corner, look at that. We see those winds coming in there. You see those high clouds pushing in. That's that jet stream dip that we've been talking about. Now so far it's too far to the north to pick up the hurricane and push it on up to the northeast. But that's the beginning of it, and then the jet stream dip over the weekend is going to move on down and eventually get the hurricane. The other thing we see, and by the way, the jet stream is already doing some work in pulling these clouds away like this, and that's actually helping keep the hurricane fairly strong. It's also pushing some drier air in here, and we can see it eroding this side of the storm, and that may contribute to a little bit of weakening. So jet streams can actually counteract themselves when they interact with hurricanes. They can make it stronger and weaker depending on exactly how close they are and how significant the effects that they can present to the hurricane are. So as of 5 o'clock, here are the numbers: 20.6, 86.9, winds at 140, moving northwest at 5 miles an hour, and there was the pressure at 5 o'clock. Just got a report from hurricane hunters in the storm up to 928, so going up a little bit, but still a just spectacularly low pressure and an incredibly strong hurricane, Category 4 of course, on the Saffir-Simpson scale. over Cozumel Island, and it's been there for at least 4 hours now. Now here is the future track. The idea is that it slowly moves over the Yucatan tomorrow. Now that may be very, very good for Florida. Terrible for them, but good for Florida in that it may emerge up in here a significantly weaker storm, although no significant sign of that yet, but of course it hasn't quite even gotten over land as far as the eye goes. And then by late in the day on Sunday, still be just north of the Yucatan, and then that dip in the jet stream comes down and pushes the storm along, and so Monday it's off the west coast, and then Tuesday speeding by. Now we still can't say for sure exactly where it's going to go. The future track would lend you to think it could be there or there, but that's not likely. It's more likely to be here or here, not the left side, because of a cold front that's going to come down right in here and keep it from getting to that side of the future track. So that's an issue that we'll watch, and I'll show you the models here in just one moment, and then I'll show you that they're in agreement with that as well, and then speeding on away on Wednesday. In terms of the intensity, the thinking is that it would be perhaps a Category 1 or 2 because of the weakening over the Yucatan, depending on how long it stays there, and then perhaps intensifying a little bit. As I said, the jet stream, as it dips down here, can actually enhance the strength of the hurricane, and the water is very warm, at least briefly. But then as the jet stream dips down some more, that will tend to want to weaken the storm. So that is the sequence where when it gets up here, perhaps a Category 1. But all these numbers, plus or minus 1, this could be a 1, this could also be a 2, it could be a tropical storm as it approaches us. But in any case, it is expected to put significant water here into the Florida Keys. Now in terms of the hurricane models and where we stand with them today, here they are. And what we've got here is a significantly better consensus. These models out here are not considered credible models. This red one, this green one, and this purple one. The ones in the center there are considered the credible models, and you can see there's a tight clustering of them. And notice, if I draw in where that cold front is expected to be, and I'll show you more on that in just a moment, cold front's expected to get down just about to the Tampa area. All the credible models keep the storm south of that, so the thinking is it's most likely to come over the southern peninsula. Now, in this area here, now they're even tightly clustered on time, that would be early on Monday that the storm would be approaching the west coast. So now that the models are more agreeing, there's more confidence in the forecast. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's delayed until Monday. It looks like a Monday transit over the state of Florida, arriving close to us late in the day. So that's where we stand right now, and I'll be back with more in a few minutes.
Thanks, Brian. You saw it on the radar. Now we want to show you the pictures that really tell the story of the pounding that Cozumel and Cancun are taking from the storm.
Cuba is also feeling the effects of Wilma tonight. CBS 4's Elliot Rodriguez has been monitoring the video live in satellite control. He joins us now with more. Elliot.
Well, Rob and Maggie, let's begin with the very latest pictures out of Mexico. We're getting new video in of heavy flooding in Cancun and in Cozumel. One man deciding to brave the storm and walking outside. Not very smart there. We're seeing some of the damage so far. A sign that fell on top of a car, a pole bent by Wilma's strong winds. As the whipping winds and rain pound the Yucatan tonight, residents are now hunkered down, waiting for the storm to pass. And in Cuba, they're also preparing for Wilma.
It's not the beach shots Cancun tourist officials like to see as Hurricane Wilma pounds Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with a wall of water, bending trees over sideways and causing widespread flooding in Mexico's biggest tourist area. Visitors like these have been bused to evacuation centers away from the coast. Electricity in Cancun has been cut off, and many airlines had to cancel their flights because of the storm. The overcrowded shelters are not the luxury accommodations tourists were hoping for, but at least they are out of harm's way.
We've all been taken inland about 10 miles to a protected area, okay?
In Cuba, many more people have been evacuated from their homes. The government sounding the alarm, moving thousands of people, setting up cots and providing free meals. People are taking whatever belongings they have, hoping their homes will still be there once Wilma moves away.
Now, Wilma has already killed 13 people in Haiti and Jamaica. So far, no reports of casualties in either Mexico, Central America, or Cuba. Elliot Rodriguez, CBS 4 News.
All right, now let's get to the latest out of the Keys tonight. CBS 4's Carrie Codd live in Key West with what residents need to know there. Carrie.
Yes, we do have some important information. Let's show it to you right away. The mandatory evacuation for Keys residents is on hold. What we are told is that when tropical force winds are within about 36 hours of the Keys, that is when the mandatory evacuation will begin. You'll remember that evacuation process has been pushed back several days now. Officials decided that today. Schools are going to be closed indefinitely at this point as we wait and see what Wilma does. The airport here in Key West does remain open. It will remain open until the mandatory evacuation goes into effect. And also there are still buses taking evacuees out of here to the shelter at Florida International University. And for folks who are still here, and there are quite a few of them, this is becoming a tired and tedious process.
Wilma's outer bands began to bring rain and water to Key West. The message here is clear. Go home, Wilma. Fred is waiting for you. And at Roy's Trailer Park, just off the main island, people are waiting too and preparing.
I'm going to go stay at a hotel for this. I'm not going to stay in a trailer park, but I'm not too concerned about it.
They're no strangers to hurricanes here. This is damage left over from Hurricane Dennis. And people here say if the storm is a 1 or a 2, they'll stay. If it's more, they'll go.
I'm going to stay. Definitely stay. I was here for Katrina, here for Rita, here for Dennis, so why go now?
But officials warn time is getting tight. And if you haven't decided whether to stay or go by now, you need to decide soon.
Once we have tropical storm conditions in the Upper Keys, our primary road that's connecting Key Largo to the mainland is going to become closed and inundated from the storm surge.
And Wilma's lingering could play havoc again with the already shortened schedule for Fantasy Fest. But organizers say the show will go on.
After all the anxiety of a storm at this time of year, that everybody's going to be really ready to celebrate and party and have a great time at Fantasy Fest.
And Fantasy Fest is scheduled to begin on Tuesday. If there are any more changes to that schedule, we of course will bring it to you. Officials here do want to stress, though, that the longer that Wilma does stall out there, they think the greater likelihood that folks will become complacent. They want to make sure that does not happen. They want to make sure that people stay on top of their game and do stay prepared. Live in Key West, Carrie Codd, CBS 4 News.
Up here in Miami-Dade County, officials are watching and waiting before going into full-on storm mode. At this time, all county services continue as normal, including Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Movers. A decision on whether public schools will be open Monday will be made tomorrow. All county courts will be closed Monday, but plan to reopen Tuesday, weather permitting. Miami International Airport remains open, but recommends you call your airline to confirm flight information. If you have any of these types of questions, you can dial 311, that's the county's answer center, or 305-468-5900 for more information.
Well, the waiting game also continues in Broward County. Officials there have not yet made a decision about schools on Monday. No decision has been made about the courts either. The Broward County Transit System will operate its normal schedule tomorrow. For the rest of the story out of Broward, let's go to CBS 4's Ted Scouten. He's live in Fort Lauderdale tonight. Ted?
Hi, Rob. Well, the Broward Emergency Operations Center right now is operating at level 3. What that means is that they're watching, they're monitoring, and they're just waiting. Now, what's probably going to happen is on Sunday, they will probably go into full mode, which is level 1. But that, of course, is fluid depending on what the weather does. Meanwhile, what we see going on in Broward is that a lot of people or some people rather, are boarding up, getting ready, while you have a lot of other people who are just basically preparing to prepare. No more waiting for Wilma here. This boat shop trying to stay afloat instead of getting sunk by the storm.
Getting prepared for the worst case scenario in case there is a lot of wind and debris flying around.
And this boat shop has more to think about than just its building. Next weekend is the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. Thousands of boat slips are empty as promoters just wait and hope. At BSO headquarters, the shutters are up. All Broward County buildings are boarded, not only to set a good example, but to save money. If crews had to come in over the weekend, that would mean OT. Guys at construction sites like this one may be getting some OT. They're picking up debris so it doesn't blow away. It might be kind of frightening to look at this front yard. Lots of scary stuff here that can go flying. That's why some folks are boarding up their homes, but not everyone.
I've just been watching and waiting. I mean, the storm just seems to be sitting there right now, and until it takes a turn toward this direction, I'm just sort of watching and waiting.
At the Emergency Operations Center, the lights are low. They're not cranking it up here yet. Right now, they're just urging people to pay attention, but don't go overboard.
Don't panic. There's plenty of time to get the supplies that you need to get you through a few days should we lose power. There's plenty of gas.
So the official word from Broward, watch and wait, with hopes that Wilma will stay away. Now, you heard us talking about the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. That was supposed to start on Thursday. Now we have late word that the show is going to be postponed and is not going to start now until Saturday. So a big difference there. The boat show now starting on Saturday instead of Thursday. Meanwhile, if you have any questions and you live in Broward County, you can call the Broward County Hurricane Hotline. The number is 954-831-4000. That number is already closed down for the evening, but it will open up again tomorrow morning, I believe around 8:30 or so. Once again, 954-831-4000. We're live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm Ted Scout, CBS 4 News.
Ted, thank you. From Broward County, our team coverage moves to Lee County on the southwest coast, where evacuations are in full swing. CBS 4's Jawan Strader is live in Boca Grande tonight. Jawan?
Yes, Maggie, right now things are quiet here in Boca Grande. Matter of fact, there's a group fishing here right behind me right now. But folks just south of us are fearful that if Wilma hits, it will just add insult to injury.
May get tore up about Monday, so I don't know what I'll do then.
88-year-old Alfred Lund's Punta Gorda home was nearly destroyed by Charlie. That was more than a year ago, and he's still trying to rebuild.
It tore up my bed and had a big vanity there, and it tore it up. And it just went down through there, just ripping everything out pretty well.
Hurricane Wilma threatens to take away all of Alfred's hard work, and others who live in the city try to move forward from Charlie.
Don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it won't hit us, but then it might. If it does, we just, you know, you can't help it.
But instead of staying and dealing with some of the devastation that could come with Wilma, many people are fleeing for safe ground.
But I don't want to get caught right in a hurricane, so we're going to go north for a little ways.
For tourists like Ted Roebling, it's better to be safe than sorry.
At least I'll be 250 miles further, so I might miss a lot of the traffic if it does hit down around Fort Myers or Marco or someplace down in there.
Now, we spoke with Charlotte County officials. They were hit hardest by Charlie last year. They don't have anything going on right just now. They said that they're staying put and they're waiting to see just what happens next. Reporting live here from Lee County, Boca Grande, Jawan Strader, CBS 4 News.
If you have questions about things like that, when to evacuate, if to evacuate, any questions at all, just call Neighbors for Neighbors. Our volunteers are standing by at 305-597-4404, ready for your calls.
For information 24 hours a day, log on to our website, cbs4news.com, or our sister station's website, upn33.com. On both sites, you can sign on to get the latest advisory on your MP3 player. You can also check out our news partners at the Herald at storm.herald.com.
And you can bet your weather station will bring you continuing coverage of Hurricane Wilma. Brian Norcross will be live on the air with the 8 p.m. advisory. Then look for a halftime update during the Dolphins game. At 10 o'clock, you can watch our sister station, UPN 33 News, for the latest. And right after the game, a special edition of CBS 4 News. And tomorrow morning, an extended version of CBS 4 News This Morning. That will be on from 5 a.m. until noon.
Well, Halloween decorations are coming down and pumpkin patches are bare tonight. Now, over fears Hurricane Wilma might carve a path right to South Florida. We'll have that story for you next.
Then they're playing 2 days early. Are they ready? Live pictures here from Dolphin Stadium as the Finns get ready to take on the Chiefs tonight.
Your weather station tracking every development of Hurricane Wilma. Brian Norcross back with more when CBS 4 News at 6 comes right back. Anxiety is high, and so's the frustration level.
What's the latest on Wilma?
Let me tell you what's going on here.
CBS 4 News stands committed to keep you up to the second.
Complete team coverage from around the state.
With 2 storm specialists, Brian Norcross and David Bernard. Plus crews in Tampa, the Keys, and everywhere in between.
People along the West Coast see Wilma as a major threat.
For everything you need to know about Hurricane Wilma, keep it on CBS 4 News, the most powerful name in local news.
You may not get a hit off of El Duque, but you'll score big at Armstrong Ford of Homestead. Get rebates up to $6,000 on the finest cars made. You can own a new 2005 F-150 from just
$14,990. Breaking news, weather, traffic.
Get smart solutions 24/7 on Herald.com.
If a car dealer was rated 5 stars, it would have 1,000 vehicles, 60 air-conditioned service bays, kids' play area, restaurant, cappuccino bar, and 75 free loaner cars. Come celebrate the grand opening of the all-new Sawgrass Infinity, the world's largest Infinity dealer. We've price-adjusted every vehicle, making it more affordable to step up to the luxury of Infinity. Sawgrass Infinity, Commercial Boulevard and Sawgrass Expressway. Any questions?
Sawgrass Infinity. Any questions? Stop. Oh, yeah. He's coming.
All over America, people are welcoming their postman because he's bringing them something new. This year, the Medicare and You Handbook has something special. Information on Medicare's new prescription drug coverage. It could help you save hundreds of dollars on your medicines, and all seniors on Medicare are eligible. But to save, you have to sign up. So watch your mailbox. Sign up starts November 15th.
You may not get a hit off of El Duque, but you'll score big at Armstrong Ford of Homestead. Get rebates up to $6,000 on the finest cars made. You can own a new 2005 F-150 from just $14,990.
If you see news in the making, dial star CBS 4 on your T-Mobile cellular phone.
Your weather station is tracking Hurricane Wilma. These are live video phone pictures from Cancun, Mexico tonight on the Mayan Riviera, which has taken a pounding all day long with torrential rains and shrieking winds. After that, Cuba and then possibly Florida. And as Hurricane Wilma approaches, so does Halloween. And that's causing annoying inconveniences tonight to residents.
Yeah, from moving all the pumpkins in the patches to decorations being taken down, it's been a hurricane hassle so far. CBS 4's Lee Davalos has been investigating this pumpkin problem, and she's live in Miami for us. Lee?
Well, let me tell you, it is no easy task taking down this huge tent and packing away these thousands of pumpkins. But owners here don't want Wilma turning their pumpkins into possible missiles.
It's enough to make you scream. Hurricane Wilma and the possibility of wicked weather wreaking havoc on South Florida pumpkin patches.
Wilma just gives us a headache. We're not so sure. We're just like the weatherman. We're not sure what's going to happen.
For the last 40 years, Bill Winkler's livelihood has been these huge tented pumpkin patches, like this one across from Tamiami Airport and this one at 104th Street and US 1. It takes days just to set them up.
Well, it takes about 3 or 4 hours to put up the tent, and then it takes you a day or two to get the pumpkins set up.
But the gourds, from the tiny ones to the biggest ones, will have to be packed up and put away just to make sure we don't see this happening. But before the pumpkins say bye-bye, proud parents of little Alyssa make sure they get their portrait and pumpkin of their own.
I wanted to make sure that my daughter had a great Halloween, and we came out here before these pumpkins possibly were blown around town.
In Broward, the pumpkin business there is also facing the grim reality that their pumpkins could be used for a lot more than pie.
So if you haven't made a trip out to the pumpkin patch just yet, you may want to come out tonight or over the weekend. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait till Wilma is far, far away and the pumpkins and their friends come back out to play. We're live in Miami. Lee Davalos, CBS 4 News.
Brian Norcross is back after the break with more on Wilma.
We'll be right back.
When it comes to safety, we all know how important air is here. But who thinks about it here? Lexus does. With electronic sensors in the RX to warn you when tire pressure is less than optimal. Because if you have enough air here, you may never need it here. See your South Florida Lexus dealer.
My dad's a lawyer, but now he's training to be a teacher.
My mom's accounting, but she said she's going to be in Teach-a-thon. What's that?
Professionals from across the country are training for the Education Fund's Great American Teach-a-thon. They're learning about teaching and how we can all support teaching quality, the answer to student achievement. For more information, visit a Washington Mutual Financial Center today. Sponsored by Washington Mutual and benefits the Education Fund and teachers in Miami-Dade.
Thanks for supporting the Education Fund.
And the Great American Teach-a-thon.
Friday, October 21st, Rumble at the Rock. The return of David the Tua Mantua, Jameel Big Time McCline. This is a Rumble you don't want to miss. October 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. Warriors Boxing, in association with Cedric Kushner Promotions and the Seminole Hard Rock Live Arena, present Rumble at the Rock. Also featuring Edison Pantera Miranda, Yuri Foreman, and more. Live championship boxing. Doors open 6:30. First fight 7:30 p.m. Don't miss it. For tickets, call the box office or Ticketmaster outlets.
Hi, I'm Larry Coker for Evening's Delight. For the absolute best selection and prices on barbecue grills, fireplaces, and hot tubs, go where I shop. Evening's Delight.
Come in today and ask for the Coach Coker special.
Oh, Evening's Delight delivers too.
A 2005 Consumer Guide Best Buy. It's all here in black and white. Cadillac CTS. Breakthrough. Visit your South Florida Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer. Residency restrictions apply.
Closed captioning sponsored by City Furniture. Now offering same-day delivery 7 days a week.
Brian Norcross is with us. I know it may be too early to ask you this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do you think maybe it'll be a Katrina-type storm for us, a Category 1?
Well, I don't think it'll be a whole lot worse than that. You can imagine how it could be a Category 2. You can't hardly imagine how it could be stronger, but you can also imagine how it could be something much less.
Okay.
You can imagine it really coming apart and then just getting stretched out as it gets here. All think those positive thoughts. But it looks like something of it's going to get here. Looks like on Monday. Okay, here we go outside right now, and it's not going to get a whole lot better than it is right now between now and then. We're in the upper 70s to 80, but look at the stickiness scale, 8.5, extra steamy, all this tropical air here. But after the hurricane, that is going to get swept out, at least for a few days, and just over a quarter inch of rain in our rain gauge here so far. All right, here is real-time Doppler 4, and you see some pretty good downpours through North Dade up to Broward, on out there right along the Sawgrass by Sawgrass Mills. But all these are lifting to the northwest, rotating around the hurricane. All right, here's the wide view now of the radar in motion going back to noon, and you can see everything lifting up and then bending back this way. And you see these individual outer bands of the hurricane. There's one, there's another one up here. The further out you are from the hurricane, the weaker they are, the more fragmented they are. We're just going to get more and more and more of that. Here you can see the center, and then the bands. Look, there's a band there, there's a band there, and you notice there they are coming up and around. And as the storm lifts to the north slowly, you can see it kind of bending into the Yucatan there, but eventually lifting to the north, we're just going to continue to get this stream of moisture. Because remember, the jet stream is going to dip down here and then pull it that way. So it's just going to, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, keep bringing moisture over top of us, even in advance of the storm. And that same jet stream that we're thinking and we're believing is going to dip down and eventually pull Wilma our way is also going to push this cold front down. And that cold front, interestingly, and the jet stream associated with it as sort of a complicated thing, 3 levels in the atmosphere here, 3 dimensions, is going to keep the heaviest rain with the hurricane north of the center, the heaviest wind south, heaviest rain north. But in any case, lots of clouds tomorrow and heavy rain at times for us. It looks like the kind of weather you'll see outside your window now is about what we're going to be stuck with here for a while. Here comes the cold front. There comes the hurricane at whatever strength it is for Sunday. Still a good ways away from us, but winds increasing, especially in the lower Keys late in the day. And then here comes the storm up toward us on Monday and probably moving across on Monday. That's what we think right now. But again, the heaviest rain on this side, the heaviest wind on this side, depending on where exactly it is. Okay, the forecast then in detail tonight. Rain at times, some briefly heavy, and more in the Keys. Tomorrow, the Wilma squalls over all of South Florida, some heavy sometimes with a southeast wind 10 to 20, so not terribly windy tomorrow. And then clouds and rain, of course, increasing wind, especially in the lower Keys on Sunday, and it looks like right now Monday is the day. Okay, more in a bit.
Thank you, Brian. Jim Barry is live at Dolphin Stadium next.
You're watching our coverage of Hurricane Wilma. A live picture here from Cancun, Mexico. Brian just showed us the satellite pictures from that area and the radar pictures. But look at this. The wind is really blowing there. They are taking the brunt of this storm right now. CBS 4 News at 6 will be right back.
As CBS 4 News tracks Wilma's every move, Neighbors for Neighbors is there to answer your storm concern questions. Just call 305-597-4404. Neighbors for Neighbors, underwritten by Bank United and the Herbert Hoover Foundation.
Well,
Welcome back to the all-new JM Lexus. We have completely remodeled our facility, but our tradition of doing business the right way remains exactly the same. For years, JM Lexus has provided our customers with an outstanding automotive experience, exceeding your expectations at a price under what you'd expect to pay. New ES330 underpriced, just $399 a month. The tradition continues. JM Lexus on Sample Road in Margate.
What's gotten into Rusty?
That new French Toast Festival down there at the IHOP.
Bonjour.
Don't worry, it's a limited time offer.
It's French Toast Festival at IHOP. Try luscious stuffed French toast, tempting cinnamon swirl, or delicious classic French toast. Served with all your favorites starting at just $4.99, it's an irresistible deal. IHOP. Come hungry? Leave happy.
It starts tomorrow at 12 noon. The amazing Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. Remember, because our prices are lower every day, Rooms to Go doesn't have many store-wide sales. But we must make room for new styles. The bottom line, if you need furniture, Rooms to Go is the place to go. And the time to go is 12 noon tomorrow. The start of the Rooms to Go fall sale and clearance. A sale not to be missed. Our last big store-wide sale for a long time to come.
Well, hello. Geico announces new low rates in Florida.
CBS Monday, you'll laugh until you scream. Beginning with a King of Queens shocker. Then it's a How I Met Your Mother Halloween bash.
There's 7 chicks here. There's 6 chicks here.
Next, Charlie's Halloween date gives him the curse.
Your manhood will shrivel.
Boy, I know how to pick them, don't I? 2.5 Men. And is this divorced mom scared of dating?
This is the woman who backed over her own carjacker.
Out of Practice. New Halloween comedy, CBS Monday. And later, a new Dave.
What you should know about bird flu in a consumer alert. Also, where's Wilma going? Complete coverage tonight on the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer. Experience you can trust. Right after CBS 4 News, so stay with us.
The Dolphins didn't want to play in a hurricane, but it sure looks like they didn't miss the rain.
Jim Barry is at Dolphin Stadium. Getting wet out there, Jim.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, Wilma's not here yet, but it is kind of soggy, and we could be playing the Mud Bowl tonight. Dolphins and the KC Chiefs in a game that Hurricane Wilma's scary winds actually blew ahead by 2 days from Sunday afternoon to Friday night. A big readjustment for Nick Saban and the entire Dolphin organization. Ricky Williams and the players have to let their bodies feel that it is actually Sunday. That's okay if you're healthy, but for wounded warriors like Jason Taylor, it's a big adjustment. JT will try to play tonight on that sore foot, and the entire Dolphin defense will have their hands full trying to slow down a very well-balanced and explosive Kansas City attack. Chiefs coach Dick Vermeil not crazy about the date change of this game, but frankly, both teams, with all of their injuries, have to adjust.
Put us in a neutral site, get us out of the storm. You know, what's the weather conditions going to be when those guys play tomorrow night? Is it going to be a football game or a mud bat?
Sometimes you got to improvise and adjust, and you can't let it be a factor in terms of preparation, how you prepare, what you do, and you got to get ready to go compete in the game.
All right, you can see the Dolphins take on the Chiefs tonight on CBS for your Dolphin Station. Kickoff at 7 p.m. Another sports footnote, the Panthers call off their game tomorrow against Ottawa. It's rescheduled for December 5th. And as I said, who knows what brand of football we're going to see here tonight, Dolphins and the Chiefs. And it's kind of raining on and off, so we'll see just how it goes. Live at Dolphin Stadium, I'm Jim Barry, CBS 4 Sports.
All right, Jim, that's our report. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock and at 11.
We'll start there, and we'll have the...
Bob, why the Florida Keys are so vulnerable. I'm Trish Regan.
The pressure builds on the president's closest aides. I'm John Roberts at the White House.
Not since Alfred Hitchcock have we been so afraid of birds. I'm Elizabeth Caledon, separating fact from fiction on the bird flu.
Belly bumping sports. I'm Anthony Mason. Will sumo wrestling sell in the USA?
This is the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer.
Well, they're hunkering down along Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, and they are watching the skies along the west coast of Florida. Wilma has become one of those slow-moving hurricanes. They don't expect it to hit Florida now until sometime Monday, but it is a big one, 400 miles across and powerful, a Category 4. And when it landed in Mexico today, people on the ground said it sent roofs flying, uprooted trees, and snapped power lines. We go first tonight to Jim Acosta.
Wilma ripped into Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with 145-mile-per-hour winds, forcing more than 20,000 tourists to forget their vacation plans and hunker down for the storm. Some even had to make a mad dash from their hotels to shelters in the middle of the night. CBS News producer Ben Ferguson was among them.
The Mexican military came and evacuated us to a middle school where we have about 150 people from the hotel who were sleeping on the ground here. The wind is really starting to pick up. We do have boards in our windows, but you can definitely feel the wind coming through.
Forecasters are desperately trying to determine whether Wilma will stall over the Yucatan and weaken, or scrape the Mexican Riviera and barrel towards the Florida coast.
We really want everybody in the Florida Keys and the southern portion of the Florida Peninsula to pay very, very close attention to this. We're almost used to surprises with these hurricanes.
Uncertainty hangs like the humidity over Florida's remote Marco Island, where residents are shuttering their homes and securing their boats.
With as much trouble the Gulf has had this summer, you know, we're all gun shy. Doggone it, we're just going to play it safe and go from there with it.
Oh, come on, man, he's frustrated!
Homeowners on Florida's barrier islands remember last year when authorities barred people from their beach houses for days after Hurricane Charlie. Police actually used a taser to stop one resident.
That is so wrong! Why are you going to be like that in front of his children, man?
So this time, some are staying put, even though the forecast remains far from clear and a mandatory evacuation order is in effect.
Our plans are to just stay home and see what goes on.
It's serious enough for Sam and Jennifer Iwu to rush to the altar, pushing their Saturday wedding ahead one day to beat Wilma.
How do you feel? Great. We're married.
After 3 days of hurry up and wait in Florida, forecasters are getting worried that people will look at this slow-moving storm and resist evacuation orders. Bob?
I must say I'm a little surprised at that after all the problems we've had with these hurricanes, that people seem reluctant to follow the orders this time around. Why do you think that is, Jim?
It sounds like human nature to me, Bob. Last year we were right here in this spot with Hurricane Charlie bearing down on the Florida Gulf Coast. It was a Category 2 headed to Tampa. It made a surprise right turn, became a Category 4, and hit southwest Florida. You just can't predict where these things are going to go all of the time, Bob.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jim. For the latest on where Wilma is likely to go next, we're going to turn again to our hurricane expert, Brian Norcross of CBS Miami station WFOR. Brian, this one has really been hard to predict. Are you getting any better handle on it now?
We're feeling better about it today, Bob, in terms of whether the hurricane is going to get to Florida or not. We think the answer is yes, that it will get here. However, the timing is a little uncertain. What's happened is that the upper level winds in the atmosphere are coming into better focus in terms of the jet stream dipping down. We're confident that's going to happen. The question is it going to happen on Sunday or Monday? It does look like, however, this hurricane will head toward the state of Florida, especially and most likely the extreme southern part of the peninsula.
Is it going to be a powerful one when it gets there?
We think it will likely be weakening as it comes ashore. Category 2 at the strongest, maybe Category 1, but the western coast and the Keys are very vulnerable, even to a Category 1 hurricane, among the most vulnerable in the U.S. So we still think that we'll have lots of problems here, no matter what happens, that we can foresee.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. If the hurricane does sweep across the Florida Keys, the problem will be getting the people out of there. Our Trish Regan got into the area today. We want to go next to her. Trish?
Well, Bob, no one knows exactly where this storm will hit or how strong it will be. But tourists here in the Florida Keys have already cleared out. Residents are just waiting to hear whether or not they should evacuate.
So when are you going to make this call?
Well, we're thinking maybe tomorrow morning. Right now, we're just monitoring the storm. As you know, it's in a holding pattern. It's just kind of stopping right on top of Cozumel and Cancun. So we're just kind of right now waiting to see.
But officials can't hold off for long. The Keys are difficult to evacuate. There's only one road in and one road out for the 78,000 residents here.
If we have a major accident and the road goes down, then that's it. We're over. Everyone is trapped down here.
Getting people out is one thing. If a major storm hits, there's no guarantee what will be here when they come back. The fear is that the hurricane will push water from the Gulf into the shallow Florida Bay. That water will have nowhere to go but over the Keys, and that can cause life-threatening flooding. It also means the bridges could be wiped out and power and water lines may be destroyed, leaving anyone who tries to wait Wilma out stranded. And with little assistance, if there's a mandatory evacuation, hospital workers plan to get out.
In the thick of the hurricane, if you're hurt, you're on your own. There will be no services in the middle of the hurricane.
Marathon, where we are now, was nearly destroyed back in 1960 during Hurricane Donna. About 50 people died. They were trapped in this area when they couldn't get across the bridges. No one wants to see history repeat itself. Bob?
Okay, thank you, Trish. The special counsel investigating who blew the cover of a CIA agent is winding down his work in Washington. Indictments, if there are any, will come next week. The investigation appears now to be focused on President Bush's top political advisor, Karl Rove, and on Vice President Cheney's chief of staff, Louis Libby. Here's John Roberts at the White House.
Just a week now until the grand jury term ends, and the talk in Washington is of indictments.
I've always had a very difficult time understanding what crime Karl Rove might have committed or Scooter Libby might have committed. If, on the other hand, they misled the FBI or lied to a grand jury, then they've got a real problem of obstruction of justice. That is a crime.
It's the old echo of Watergate and beyond. Not the crime, but the cover-up that'll kill you.
Federal prosecutors do this all the time. Martha Stewart went to jail for precisely this reason. She was never charged with insider trading. She was charged with lying when she was questioned about insider trading.
Was there a cover-up? Well, perhaps publicly. Remember what the White House said 2 years ago about Rove and Libby?
I spoke with those individuals, as I pointed out, and those individuals assured me they were not involved in this, and that's where it stands.
But misstatements for public consumption aren't a crime. And what's known about sworn statements is confusing at best. According to testimony, Rove and Libby both talked to reporters about CIA operative Valerie Plame, but may not have mentioned her by name. Rove told the grand jury he may have learned Plame's identity from Libby, but that the two were only discussing what they'd heard from reporters. Sources familiar with the case say Special Prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald is under enormous pressure to show something for his 2-year investigation, and they expect him to bring charges. For a White House, according to some already in political freefall, a Rove indictment could complete the collapse.
That would be like George W. Bush losing his right arm at a time when he needs every limb he's got to climb out of the hole he's in and to rebuild his presidency.
So when will we hear from Fitzgerald? Experts say it's unlikely he'll wait until the grand jury's last day, which is next Friday. The betting is we'll learn what he has decided by midweek. Bob?
Thank you, John. President Bush said today the United Nations should respond quickly to a UN report that links Syria to the assassination of a prominent Lebanese politician. The president made the comment during a visit to Southern California. The investigation implicates top Syrian officials in the car bomb murder of Lebanon's former prime minister, and the president called it deeply disturbing. Elizabeth Palmer now with more on that.
The UN report submitted to Kofi Annan doesn't name Rafiq Hariri's murderers, but it does say that the bomb which killed the former Lebanese prime minister and 20 other people in Beirut on Valentine's Day 2005 could not have been planted without approval from the very top of Syria's administration. The Syrians immediately denied the charges, calling them politically motivated. But U.S. officials called the report hard-hitting, and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice said Syria must be made accountable. That would put Syria's already beleaguered president in a very tight spot. The report names members of Bashar al-Assad's immediate family in connection with the assassination, and it accuses powerful Syrian witnesses of lying to investigators. America hopes to translate all that into pressure on Syria, to shut down the flow of insurgents crossing its borders into Iraq, and to stop supplying weapons and support to militant groups like Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
In coming up, Congressman Tom DeLay's day in court. His side put the judge on the defensive. That's tonight's Inside Story. But first, CBS News honors fallen heroes. Mike Murphy, strong, intelligent, fearless, and all about serving others, whether tutoring for free or becoming a Navy SEAL. From Afghanistan, he'd tell his family only about his funny experiences, like the time he had to fight off a pack of hyenas. Due to marry in November, Murphy was killed in an ambush. He wanted his family to remember he died doing what he loved.
This is a great find. The new Mercury vehicles are loaded with new thinking. Award-winning safety ratings, a brand new hybrid, new cars, new SUVs. You gotta put Mercury on your list.
Senecot tablets, made with the natural senna ingredient to relieve constipation overnight, is celebrating 50 years of gentle relief, and you get the gift. Up to $5 off any Senecot product. Go to your local store or senecot.com.
Winter isn't all fun. That's the way it is. 'Tis the season for sinusitis. The signs you can tell. When plain tissue appears, tender noses rush to hide behind little wiggly ears. Not happy with sinusitis? Puffs Plus is more soothing with lotion, aloe and E. The only one with the Soreness Guard guarantee. The moral? A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed.
Long ago, nature had this big idea. Bring 8 vegetables together into a single bottle. This powerful source of vitamins and minerals awakened our bodies, inspired our minds, helping us even today to evolve and improve. A juice so alive with vegetable nutrition, it changes how we live and to how we thrive. V8 100% vegetable juice. Don't just live, thrive.
You gelling? No telling how much I'm gelling. You gelling? I'm like mud gelling. I'm so gelling. Quit yelling. We're gelling. Right.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make any shoe feel outrageously comfortable. Are you gelling? Dr. Scholl's.
Day after day, drop after drop, you test your blood if you have diabetes. But what if the information you're getting isn't right? If you don't code properly, your readings can be up to 43% off. 43%, and that's just a waste of all those little drops and all your efforts. So Bayer developed the Essentia Contour Meter. There's no coding needed, so you get the information you need from every single drop, every single day. The Essentia Contour from Bayer.
Why blend in when you can stand out? The compact Mercury Mariner. This trend-setting SUV now comes as a hybrid too, with 33 miles per gallon in the city. Wow. You gotta put Mercury on your list.
Tom DeLay has stepped aside as the House Republican leader, at least until charges that he violated campaign finance laws are decided, but that could take a while. Today, he went into a Texas court and managed to bring the whole proceeding to a dead stop. Lee Cowan now with our Inside Story.
At times, it was hard to tell whether the congressman's first court appearance was a criminal proceeding or a political debate.
Please be seated.
Within minutes, DeLay's attorney had the judge defending his ties to the Democratic Party and liberal organizations like MoveOn.org.
To which you have contributed, was selling T-shirts with Mr. DeLay's mugshot on it to raise money.
Well, let me just say, I haven't ever seen that T-shirt, number one. Number two, I haven't bought it. Number three, the last time that I...
It was Tom DeLay's latest claim that behind his indictment on conspiracy and money laundering charges is nothing but politics, and tweaked prosecutor Ronnie Earl when he asked for a new judge.
And I think that's absurd.
DeLay, how did it go in there? DeLay left the courthouse to go to the Texas State House, where he launched another blistering attack on Earl, who he named 8 times in a 4-minute statement.
The only reason I had to be in that courtroom today was because Ronnie Earl has abused his prosecutorial power.
That's been his defense all along, and some Republicans aren't buying it.
I've not heard of any Republicans that are supporting Tom at this point. Win, lose, or draw, whether he's guilty or not guilty, they've kind of had it with him.
And that's coming from a Republican precinct chairwoman in his home district.
Pigs get fatter, but hogs get slaughtered. And Tom has been a hog.
Don't mistake that for lack of support. He's still plenty popular here. Margaret Gow runs a neighborhood program for foster children that DeLay and his wife started years ago.
He's very low-key about it in that he's doing it for the right reasons, and he knows that.
What he also knows is he's the first majority leader in history to ever be indicted. So no matter how big the smile on the mugshot, no matter how confident he appears in court, the prosecution may have already dealt a serious blow before the congressman can even enter a plea. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Austin.
And coming up next, cashing in on fear, what you should know about bird flu and some scams to avoid in our Friday Consumer Alert.
Wait, did you see that? Go back. Clearly, that woman is trying to get more fiber and calcium in her diet. Now, it's so much easier with new Metamucil capsules plus calcium. Metamucil fiber for regularity, plus as much calcium as an 8-ounce glass of milk for strong bones to help prevent osteoporosis. Metamucil capsules plus calcium. Stay regular, stay strong.
My doctor said my type 2 diabetes was out of control. That high blood sugar increased my risk of serious complications. He said I better diet, exercise, take my medicine. Yeah. I heard it all before. Well, maybe I should have listened.
Every year, up to 24,000 people lose their eyesight to diabetes. Even more are at risk for stroke, heart attack, and limb loss. If you have high blood sugar, get help. Call or visit diabetes.com.
Measles is a game you play and then you sing a song. Mumps are something that camels have. Some have 2 months and some have 1. Chickenpox is a park where chickens have fun.
Most kids today don't have a clue about diseases adults remember, thanks to Merck scientists. We've invested billions to research heart disease and asthma. Now we're trying to make Alzheimer's, diabetes, and cancer history too. Merck, where patients come first.
The human body was designed to move, so now Serenity gently hugs your body for a closer fit than the leading protective underwear. New Serenity Discreet Activewear. You move, they move, you're protected. Serenity from Tenna.
You gelling? No telling how much I'm gelling. You gelling? I'm like mud gelling, I'm so gelling. Quit yelling, we're gelling.
Right. Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make any shoe feel outrageously comfortable. Are you gelling? Dr. Scholl's.
My dad's a lawyer, but now he's training to be a teacher.
My mom's an accountant, but she says she's going to be in Teach-a-thon. What's that?
Professionals from across the country are training for the Education Fund's Great American Teach-a-thon. They're learning about teaching and how we can all support teaching quality, the answer to student achievement. For more information, visit a Washington Mutual Financial Center today. Sponsored by Washington Mutual and benefits the Education Fund and teachers in Miami-Dade.
Thanks for supporting the Education Fund.
And the Great American Teach-a-thon.
There were more warnings today about bird flu. Health Secretary Michael Leavitt warned that wild birds could spread the disease as they migrate around the world, and sure enough, cases turned up in Croatia and in Britain today. A parrot died of bird flu while in quarantine. But for all the dire predictions, it is still not clear how much of a threat bird flu poses to humans. So far, the biggest danger is that they may get caught in some bird flu cure scam. Here's Elizabeth Caledon with our Friday Consumer Alert.
Louisa Conlon returned from a trip to Paris last week feeling sick.
I had a fever and cough, and I got nervous.
Like many Americans, fear of bird flu had gotten the better of her. The nasty virus plaguing birds in Asia and now in Europe is probably spreading fastest in our imaginations.
I think some of it's paranoia, but there's certainly some fact.
Doctors like Len Horowitz are overwhelmed.
Elizabeth, you can't imagine how many phone calls and requests I've had for prescriptions, advice.
Bird flu, it seems, has infected our common sense. And for some business people, that means dollars and cents. In a throwback to the SARS epidemic, which caused more than 700 deaths but never developed into the worldwide killer feared, face masks are resurfacing as the investment of choice. This website is even hawking a mask that claims to kill the bird flu virus.
We have seen a dramatic increase in sales and interest in the mask worldwide.
Sales of the antiviral drug Tamiflu are also through the roof. But before you spend all your hard-earned money on masks, medicine, and a bunker somewhere in the hills, take a dose of reality. Who should be really worried? Chicken farmers in Asia. Anyone who works or lives near large populations of fowl. You cannot get it from your parakeet. You cannot get it from eating chicken. So far, there aren't even any documented cases of human-to-human transmission. But here's what you can do if you're worried. A prescription of Tamiflu won't hurt. But don't buy it online where prices are being jacked up. And if and when bird flu arrives here, if you feel comfortable wearing a face mask, that's fine too. What, if anything, can a face mask do?
It's a barrier precaution.
And finally, keep washing those hands. That still works, even against the deadliest of germs. Oh, and by the way, Louisa just had a cold.
Yes, I was very relieved.
Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
And still to come, wrestlers at large, extra large, sumo wrestlers are ready to take on America. But is America ready for them?
Smuggling, terror, and vigilantes. There's a war on, but this one's on our borders. Eye on America, Monday on the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer. Experience you can trust.
Oh, hey, hi, I'm Dacre. Don't mind me, I'm just a dermatophyte. You know, a nail infection. All I want is to get in here and live under your nail. You can't get me with clippers or those surface treatments you try on your own. I'm in too deep in your nail bed. I'll make myself comfortable, invite a few friends. Settle in.
Do you have thick, discolored, or flaky nails? Millions of people do. It may be caused by an active live infection. That's why you should ask your doctor about prescription-only Lamisil. Unlike surface treatments, Lamisil is a pill that works through the bloodstream to target and attack the infection at its source, underneath the nail. In fact, you can start to see clearer, healthier nails in just 3 months. Lamisil isn't for people with liver or kidney problems. In rare cases, serious side effects in the liver or serious skin reactions have occurred, so your doctor may do a simple blood test. Other side effects, including headache, diarrhea, indigestion, and rash, were generally mild. Ask your doctor about Lamisil. Once daily Lamisil tablets. Get your nail infection where it grows.
If you were my sister, I would say you should know your breast cancer could come back.
You should know how to fight it.
You should know there are treatments that can help reduce that risk significantly.
Learn about those treatments, I would say.
Decide on them with your doctor. If you were my sister, I would say you should know you have options.
If you were my sister, I would say there are many reasons to be optimistic.
15 years, I'm still here. Hello?
Sadly, arthritis pain can mean the end of life's little pleasures. But not for people who use Aleve. People whose doctors have told them the good news about the strength and safety of Aleve. The good news that only Aleve can stop arthritis pain all day with just 2 pills. That would take 8 Tylenol. Take back the pleasure arthritis pain took away. Ask your doctor about the good news. Ask your doctor about Aleve.
I am dedicated. I am disciplined. I am determined. And I'm a diabetic. And that's how I feel when I test with my meter, the Accu-Check Aviva.
The new Accu-Check Aviva system, designed to fill and test right the first time, to avoid painful resticking. The Accu-Check Aviva. Switch to the system that makes every strip count.
So if he's reaching a touch...
What makes Michael Jordan tick? Find out when he goes one-on-one with Ed Bradley.
Simple, huh? Yeah.
Sunday on 60 Minutes.
I don't know quite what to say about this one, but I will start by saying rock and roll fans will recognize this picture of the Beatles as the cover of a classic album, Abbey Road. Well, a sort of Flabby Road version was created here in New York to hype what promoters hope will be the next big sport in America, sumo wrestling. Here is your ringside announcer, Anthony Mason.
Even by New York standards, it was an exceptional sight. 24 sumo wrestlers strolling across the street, an army of nearly naked men on a mission.
Taking the wonderful sport of sumo and bringing it to the world.
They weighed in at Madison Square Garden this week.
Yeah! He weighs 461 pounds, even.
For a Saturday night battle of the giants. Will sumo sell in the USA? Boxing trainer Tommy Gallagher thinks so.
I look at this like monster trucks, you know, and monster trucks work, so I couldn't see why this couldn't work.
In Las Vegas earlier this month, nearly 25,000 fans watched as these Japanese giants tried to thrust each other out of the ring.
It's like King of the Hill. Remember when you were a kid, you went up in the hill? That's what this is.
Now, Big Boy Productions hopes to launch a sumo circuit here.
You envision a sumo league?
Absolutely. Positively.
With sumo stars in the U.S.?
Absolutely. You saw the stars today.
Stars like Kenna Heffernan of Hawaii.
You went to Yale University?
Yes, I went to Yale.
I don't think you took sumo there.
No, I played football there. I was a starting tailback.
At 260 pounds, Heffernan makes a small sumo, but he can outmaneuver the big guys.
I throw a couple cheeseburgers on the side, and when they dive for it, I push them out of the ring. That's my secret.
Heffernan's hero is Hawaiian-born Musashi Maru, a former grand champion in Japan.
What do you think it's going to take to get Americans interested in sumo?
We got to get it on TV out here. If you don't have it, that's no sumo.
So the sponsors are planning not just a sumo TV series, but a sumo-sized marketing campaign, starting with squishably soft sumo dolls.
From toys to video games, from video games to racing teams, from racing teams to lunchboxes. It's big, it's small, it's every place we can go.
But will Americans buy it?
We like to see fat men in diapers.
They're sports gods in Japan. On the streets here, they're still just curiosities. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
That's the news. Tomorrow night here on CBS, a 48 hours mystery.
David Nixon had quite a reputation and quite a girlfriend.
David owed everybody money.
Was his murder payback for living on the edge?
Then on Sunday morning with Charles Osgood on Face the Nation, we'll have the latest on the Myers nomination with Senator Specter and Feinstein and Newt Gingrich. I'm Bob Schieffer, CBS News in New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com. Brought to you in part by Walmart. The Walmart price, saving you money on the things you need every day.
In the anchor chair, Bob Schieffer's the natural.
The CBS Evening News, a real pleasure to watch.
He's the people's anchor, he's the viewer's anchor.
The CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer.
This is CBS.
Right.